Thank you very much. With the national anthem, I think it's important that we first introduce ourselves.
Baie dankie, nou dat ons die volkslied gesing het, dink ek dis belangrik om net onsself eers bekend te stel.
On my left, we have Honorable Mailem.
Aan my linkerkant het ons agbare Mylem,
Next to him, we have got Honorable Malinga.
dan is daar agbare Malinga,
Next to Honorable Malinga, we have Honorable Kula.
dan het ons agbare Nkula,
Next to Honorable Kula, we have got Honorable Mashaule.
en hier sit ons agbare Mashaule.
On my right, we have Honorable Bilankulu.
Aan my regterkant agbare Milankulu,
Next to Honorable Bilankulu, we have Honorable Zungula.
en langsom agbare Zugula,
Next to Honorable Zungula, we have Honorable Volmarans.
en dan het ons agbare Wolmerans,
Next to Honorable Volmarans, we have got Honorable Professor Simang.
en langsom het ons agbare Professor Msimang.
I'm Mr. Luzipo, the chairperson of the committee.
Ek is meneer Luzipo, die voorsitter van die komitee.
We are a committee of the National Assembly.
Ons is 'n komitee van die nasionale vergadering.
In terms of the National Assembly rule, each committee will have 11 members.
Volgens die nasionale vergadering se reël het elke komitee 11 lede.
Those members represent different political parties represented in parliament.
En daardie lede verteenwoordig verskillende politieke partye soos verteenwoordig in parlement.
From parliament, we are from the National Assembly, the house which is called the National Assembly.
En ons is van parlement van die huis wat die nasionale vergadering genoem word.
There is a house called the National Council of Provinces.
En dan is daar ook 'n huis genaamd die Nasionale Raad van Provinsies.
The National Council of Provinces is the one that draws its members from provinces. Those members represent provinces.
Die Nasionale Raad van Provinsies se lede kom uit die provinsies uit en verteenwoordig die provinsies.
So when these two are together, they constitute what is called parliament.
So wanneer hierdie twee te saamkom, is dit wat die parlement is.
But they are separate from each other.
Tog is hulle apart van mekaar.
In the National Assembly, it is called a portfolio committee. So
Ja.
we are from the portfolio committee on mineral resources and energy.
By die nasionale vergadering word dit portefeuljekomitees genoem. Ons is van die portefeuljekomitee op natuurlike hulpbronne
In the
en minerale.
NCOP, they will call it select committees, not portfolio committees.
Dit word selectkomitees genoem by die nasionale provinsiale raad.
There is another house, I must say, but that house is almost a complete separate house. It's new. It's called the National House of Traditional Leaders.
Dan is daar ook 'n apart huis wat heeltemal apart is, dis nuut, die nasionale huis van tradisionele leierskap.
That's a complete separate house.
Dis heeltemal apart.
We are here because, and I think I must say this, the committee is a committee established by parliament.
En ek dink dit is nodig om hierdie te sê dat die komitee is 'n komitee wat gestig is deur die parlement.
It is not a department.
Ons is nie 'n departement nie.
The department is established by the president, and the president will appoint a minister responsible for that department.
So 'n departement word aangewys deur die president en die president wys 'n minister aan om te dien oor die departement.
So in law, there is something called a separation of powers. The department is called the executive, and parliament will be called a legislature.
So daar is 'n skeiding van magte. Die departement sal die wetgewer genoem word en dan die portefeuljekomitee is 'n heeltemal ander been.
The role of parliament is to pass legislation or pass proposed amendment into a legislation.
So die doel van die wetgewer is om wetgewing daar te stel of om voorgestelde wette deur te sit.
And legislation or amendments to a legislation can be twofold.
En wetgewing of aanpassings tot wetgewing kan op twee maniere geskied.
It can either be proposed by the department, that becomes a legislation proposed, or amendments proposed by the department on a legislation.
So dit kan voorgestel word deur 'n departement of 'n aanpassing deur die departement wat dan die wetgewer as dien vir daardie wetgewing.
The other option or area is that a legislation can be introduced or proposed by an individual member of parliament. That is called a private member's bill.
Dit kan ook gebeur dat 'n individu, 'n individuele lid wetgewing voorstel en dit word dan 'n private individuele wetsontwerp genoem.
So when those two are proposed, whoever is proposing them, they are given an opportunity to appear before the committee and speak or motivate what they are proposing. Either it will be a bill, as I said, or it will be an amendment to a bill.
So wanneer so 'n geleentheid gebeur, kry daardie party of individu geleentheid om voor die komitee 'n voorlegging te maak of aan te bied wat die verandering aan die wetgewing is en dit word dan 'n wetsontwerp genoem wat op hierdie manier hanteer word.
The committee, when that is done, has got two options.
En dan het die komitee, wanneer dit gebeur, twee opsies beskikbaar.
The first option is to deliberate on the proposed amendment or on the proposed legislation, make recommendations to the National Assembly. If adopted by the National Assembly and it's supposed to get concurrence from the NCOP, it will be referred to the NCOP or it will be referred directly to the President to sign that into law.
So wat gebeur is, die eerste opsie is waar hulle samesprekings kan hê binne die komitee oor hierdie wetsontwerp of die verandering op die wetsontwerp. Dit word dan verwys na die Nasionale Raad van Provinsies en of na die president direk, waar dit dan daarna oorweeg sal word as wetgewing of ingeteken word deur die president self.
The other option available to the committee is that it does not deliberate on the proposed bill or proposed amendment. It first considers going for public hearings, and after public hearings, then it deliberates on what it would have received in most of the areas where it has gone to.
Die ander opsie is dat in plaas daarvan om te begin met samesprekings en 'n vergadering, word hierdie eers geneem na die openbaar deur middel van openbare deelnames. Dan word menings en opinies ingesamel en wanneer dit ingesamel is en saamgesit is, dan eers word daar samesprekings en vergaderings gehou om die saak verder te voer.
So the committee chose the second option, to come and first hear the views of the people on the proposed amendments by the department.
So die komitee het gekies om die tweede opsie te volg, om na die mense te kom, om menings en opinies in te samel met betrekking tot die wysiging tot hierdie wetsontwerp soos voorgestel deur die departement.
Then it will compile a report on all those areas it has gone to, adopt that report, then have discussions or deliberations on the amendment and make recommendations to the National Assembly on what it is recommending on the proposed amendment.
So wat gebeur is dat almal se menings en opinies ingesamel word, dit word saamgesit in 'n verslag. Die verslag word ter tafel gelê by die portefeulje komitee wat dan samesprekings en vergaderings hou. Daarna word daar so voorstelle en aanbevelings gemaak aan die departement en dit word dan verder gevoer op daardie manier.
So for now, as a committee, we have no views or no position on the amendments. They still remain the amendments proposed by the department.
So op die oomblik het ons as komitee geen vooropgestelde opinies en menings oor hierdie aanpassing en wysiging nie. Op die oomblik is die doel om opinies in te samel. Ons het geen vooropgestelde.
So as I said that we are not the department, we are coming to hear from you. What are you saying about what the department is proposing?
So dis baie belangrik om daarop te let. Ons is nie die departement nie. Ons kom na u toe met hierdie wysiging voorgestel deur die departement om te hoor wat u daarvan dink.
So it is important, therefore, that we utilize this opportunity. And like I said, we started with these public hearings in Mpumalanga last year, November, and we started this year on the 17th in the Eastern Cape in Pedi. From here now in the Western Cape, we'll be going to the Northern Cape. From the Northern Cape, we'll be going to the Free State.
So ons het hierdie proses al laas jaar begin in Mpumalanga in November. Hierdie jaar op die 17de Januarie het ons hierdie proses voortgesit. Ons is nou hier, ons gaan van hier af na die Noord-Kaap toe, ons gaan ook op die einde in die Vrystaat opeindig en dit is nogal 'n lang proses.
Because the implications or impact of the proposed amendment will affect everyone in every corner of this country. They won't affect one person or some people in an area. It may have, because it is a national law, it will become a national law.
Omdat hierdie 'n nasionale wet gaan word, is hierdie iets wat elkeen in die land raak. Maak nie saak waar jy is nie, dit is nie net gebonde tot sekere individue, groepe of geografiese streke nie. Almal word geraak daardeur en dit is waarom daar openbare deelname is in al hierdie plekke gebeur.
Lastly, on this, you are allowed on what is proposed as amendments by the department to reject what the department is proposing as amendments to the Gas Act of 2001.
Onthou, dit is u reg om dit wat die departement voorstel, 'n wysiging op die gaswet van 2001, u is welkom om dit te verwerp.
But we will appreciate if you tell us which areas of the Act or of the amendments of the Act do you have concerns about, so that they can be taken up when members make discussions or deliberations. They will be more informed on what are the issues that are concerns.
Maar ons sal dit baie waardeer dat indien u die wysiging verwerp, dat u wel ook redes gee, sodat ons ingelig kan wees met betrekking tot wat u bekommernisse is, sodat ons dit kan gebruik in ons samesprekings om derhalwe voorstelle te maak.
But also you are allowed to agree or accept the proposed amendments.
Maar u is ook welkom om die voorstel te aanvaar.
If you accept, we'll also appreciate to tell us what is it that you're accepting, or how will what is being proposed and amendment assist the act to be what the department proposes it to be.
Indien u die wysiging aanvaar, vra ons ook dat u vir ons redes gee. Sê vir ons wat dit is wat u mee saamstem, wat is dit wat u voel 'n goeie deel is van hierdie wysiging wat hierdie wet 'n beter wet sal maak.
But let me say, if there were to be a complete rejection of the amendments, it means the Gas Act of 2001 will remain as it is now. There will be no changes to it.
Maar neem ook in ag dat indien u die wysiging afkeer of verwerp, beteken dit dat die gaswet van 2001 sal bly staan soos wat dit tans is.
So, having explained that, we are going to just briefly say what are some of the issues that are being proposed by the department.
So nou dat ons dit in ag geneem het, wil ek graag net noem, wat is die hooftrekke van wat die departement voorstel in hierdie wysiging?
The first thing they say, they want to amend the Gas Act of 2001 because that act does not prescribe the kind of a penalty that can be given to an operator in case that operator has failed to comply or to obey the law.
Die eerste wysiging wat genoem word hierso, wat voorgestel is om sterker sanksies in plek te stel vir diegene wat nie voldoen aan die wette soos wat dit tans is nie.
So they propose a penalty of a minimum of 2 million rands per day.
So
That
die,
is a minimum.
so die voorgestelde boete is 'n minimum van 2 miljoen rand per dag vir operateurs wat nie voldoen aan die reëls nie.
Secondly, they propose that the operator's license can be reviewed or revoked, or both can go together.
Die tweede is dat die operateur se lisensie hersien of heeltemal onttrek kan word, of beide.
They also propose that there be more powers given to the minister and the regulator in order to enforce compliance with the law.
Daar word ook voorgestel dat daar meer mag aan die minister en reguleerder gegee word, sodat hulle wetsnavolging kan navolg.
They also propose that the law must make it easy for the implementation or compliance with triple BEE, which is the broad-based black economic empowerment.
Daar word ook aangemoedig dat hierdie wet meer ondersteunend is ten opsigte van triple BEE.
Also, in link to that, they propose that the department must have more powers to enforce the protection of the environment, the protection of communities, the protection of employees at workplace as far as occupational health and safety is concerned.
Daar word ook voorgestel dat daar meer magte gegee word vir die beskerming van gemeenskappe, dat daar is meer beskerming vir die omgewing en vir werknemers by die werksplek met betrekking tot veiligheid en gesondheid in die werksplek.
The other proposal is that the Act 6, the amendment 6, to encourage or to ensure that there's cooperation between public and private operators in the gas industry.
Daar word verder voorgestel dat daar beter samewerking is tussen die openbaar en private deelnemers in die gasindustrie.
So there are quite a number of, there are even areas where they propose that the department or the minister or the regulator must have powers to expropriate land if it's in the best interest of the country for the operator who will be operating in the industry or in that area.
Daar word ook voorgestel dat die minister, die departement of die reguleerder meer magte het om grond te onteien indien dit in die beste belang is van die land.
Like you heard me, I say they, because it's not our amendments. We have not proposed anything. They, as the department, are suggesting that.
En let wel, ek noem die hele tyd die departement of hulle, want dit is hulle wat hierdie voorstel, nie ons nie.
So by law, we cannot, until as a committee, express a view on this proposed amendment, until as a committee we have deliberated on them and we have made recommendations. For now, any answer anyone can give on this proposed amendment will be saying his or her own thinking.
So as 'n komitee kan ons op die oomblik geen vrae beantwoord met betrekking tot hierdie wysiging nie. Dit sal eers kan gebeur nadat daar samesprekings was en hierdie proses verder gevoer word. So dus as enigiemand 'n antwoord vandag hier gee, is dit nie die uitkyk van die komitee nie, maar daardie individu se eie persoonlike denke.
An agreement in the committee means there is consensus on there will be consensus on anything that is put in front of the committee, or if there is no consensus or agreement, then it will go to a vote. We don't know what will happen when we deliberate as a committee, whether there will be agreements or disagreements, and how those disagreements, if they exist, will be attended to or resolved. So at this stage, like I said, we have not deliberated at all on the amendments until we hear all the views on those areas where we are going to.
So wat sal gebeur is wanneer al die inligting in is, sal die komitee saampraat en saam vergader en ons sal of almal saamstem oor 'n saak of ons mag dalk verskil en dan sal dit oorgaan tot 'n stem. Eers dan sal daar 'n uitklaring wees of 'n beslissing wees oor wat die komitee se opinie is, maar tot op sulke stadiums is dit nog nie die geval nie.
Then let's go to the process or procedure that we will follow. Firstly, we know it's a fact. I've taken off my mask because I'm speaking.
So kom ons gaan oor die prosedure van die dag. U sal opmerk dat ek my masker afgehaal het omdat ek tans besig is om te praat.
It is a fact we have got a deadly virus.
Dis 'n feit, daar is 'n dodelike virus in die omtrek.
And we don't want, when we leave this place, we are told it became the center of infections as far as COVID-19 is concerned.
En ons wil graag hê dat wanneer mense die saal vandag verlaat, daar nie gesê moet word dat hierdie die sentrum was waar hierdie virus versprei het nie.
Like I said in other areas where we have been going, social distancing may not be a problem because the heat on its own makes it possible to social distance.
En soos wat ek in ander plekke reeds gesê het, met die hitte dink ek nie dit gaan moeilik wees om 'n bietjie afstand te doen van mekaar en 'n bietjie verder uit mekaar te sit nie.
But please, we urge you to wear your mask.
Maar ons vra asseblief, hou julle maskers aan.
The reason is you may think you don't have the virus, but you don't know the one who's next to you whether doesn't have the virus. So we are even saying protect yourself from or against the virus.
Die ding is, mense sal dink, maar ek het nie die virus nie, daarom hoef ek nie 'n masker te dra nie. Maar jy weet nie hoe die mens wat langs jou sit nie. En dit is hoe jy jouself beskerm teen die virus wat moontlik mag kom van 'n persoon wat
So
langs
we
jou
will
is.
ask that we obey those protocols.
So ek vra asseblief, doen gestand aan hierdie COVID-protokol.
But very quickly we will take hands of people who want to comment on the bill.
En wat ons dan gaan doen, is ons gaan laat mense hande opsteek en dan gaan ons hulle vra om hulle opinie te lewer oor hierdie wetsontwerpwysiging.
The risk in other areas where we have gone is that the bill might go, or this proposed amendment in other areas people have not concentrated on what is proposed on the amendment. It's fine, we take that, but the risk is that we may go out not having the actual views on the bill.
Die risiko is dat as mense nie die wetsontwerpwysiging deeglik deurgelees het nie, mag ons dalk weggaan sonder om werklik die regte opinies van die mense te hê.
So we will take the first hands, we'll take the first 10 hands.
So sal die eerste 10 hande wat opgaan
And we
aanvaar.
request that a person go straight to the points on the proposed amendments, and you don't take more than 5 minutes to allow those that are coming after you to also get an opportunity to contribute their own views on what is being proposed on the amendments.
En ons vra wanneer u 'n spreekbeurt het, asseblief praat direk oor die wysiging en oor iets anders nie, en ook u het 'n maksimum van 5 minute. En daardie manier gaan u elkeen 'n kans gee om ook sy kans te kry om regverdig te praat.
Let's also bear in mind, we are told most parts of the Western Cape are the highest degrees in temperature on earth.
Ons moet
They can
ook
go, we are told others can go up to 50 degrees today.
Ons moet ook in ag neem dat hier van die Weskaap word daar gesê is daar vandag die hoogste temperature in die wêreld. Daar word selfs genoem dat die kook tot 50 grade Celsius kan styg.
So you are free to express yourself when you come to the mic on a language that you are comfortable with.
En wanneer u vorentoe kom om op die mikrofoon met die mikrofoon te praat, is u welkom om enige taal te gebruik waarmee u gemaklik voel.
Also, you are allowed to take off your mic your mask when you go to the mic for 2 reasons. One is that you must be audible on the mic. 2 is that there are people who live on sign language. They will want to read your lips as you speak, beside looking at the sign language that is interpreting for them. Those are the 2 reasons we allow the mask to be taken off on the mic.
Daar is 2 redes waarom ons versoek dat u masker afhaal wanneer u voor by die mikrofoon staan en praat. Eerstens, sodat u duidelik hoorbaar is, en tweedens vir die dowe gemeenskap wat 'n gebaretaal tolk het, maar wat ook aangewese is op u lippe vir diegene wat u lippe wil lees.
So now can we take hands?
So nou sal u hande opsteek asseblief, die wat wil praat.
I think there was a hand there, yellow shirt at the back.
Gee julle hom daar agter.
There is a hand
Daar is 'n
here.
hand hier.
The white shirt.
Wit hemp.
There is a hand there. That is number. Please keep your number. That is number. You are number 2.
U is
The
nommer
white
2.
shirt.
Ja, met die
You are
wit hemp.
number
Nommer
2.
2.
You are number 3.
U is nommer 3.
There is number 4 on
Daar's
the
nummer
black
4,
sort of
daar's
the
met
vest.
Swart
There is
vest.
number 5
Nommer 5 hier.
here. There is number 6 there.
Nommer 6 daar.
There is number 7 in the
7
black shirt.
daar agter.
There is number 8.
Nommer
There is
8,
number 9.
Nommer 9.
Okay.
Nou ja,
We've got now. You are number 9.
u is nommer 9.
Yes. 10. We are close for
10.
now.
Daar,
Number
ons is
10.
klaar
Please
vir nou.
try and stick to the time.
Asseblief hou by u tye.
Don't forget to give us your name and surname.
Good morning, officers, honorable members of Parliament Portfolio Committee. I heard you, Mr. Chairman. You said if we reject this bill, it will stay the same. That's one. Second thing is this. If we don't agree with it, so it will stay the same. So it means to me, as a fisherman, that actually we can't do anything about the bill. But if I remember, my name is Charles Jordan. I'm from Saldanha Bay. Sorry, my humble apologies. Charles Jordan, a fisherman from Saldanha Bay.
Dames en heren, mijn naam is Charles Jordan, ek is 'n visserman en ek wil net noem dat u het gesê vroeër dat as ons die wetsontwerp afkeer, dan bly die gaswet van 2001 soos wat hy is. En as ons dit goedkeur, dan gaan hy nou verander. So wat ek eintlik hierso verstaan is dat ons as vissermanne niks regtig daaromtrent kan doen nie.
Op die huidige oomblik, moest ek sê, met alle respect gesê, nog aan na my maatse taal toe, met alle respect gesê, die wet het u vir ons kom bring, om te amend. Ons moet hom verander. Maar wat er verander kan ons aan die wet bring, as die parlement of die kabinet al reeds hier gegaan het, een met hulle lawyers, een met hulle whatever hulle is, klaar gedoen het. Ek ben ons vissermanne sukkel hier om vis in die hande te kry, dan mocht die mense beter kan ons waters, die binnen ons waters, om te lien by sy waters. Samsa bewus daarvan, parlement bewus daarvan, het doen niks. So as ek die bil afkeer, as ek dink my mense gaan die bil afkeer, sê u vir my, moet ek sê, die bil bly dieselfde. Ek hoop u verstaan waar wat ek praat. Baie dankie vir die dag verder.
So Chairperson, you say here that we are supposed to change this bill, and I believe that it should be changed, but I don't know in what way we can change it, especially if you, as the Parliament, has already spoken to your lawyers and advisors and everything. We, as the fishermen, we are struggling to get fish, and the people around us in the communities are also struggling with all of our social problems. So my problem is that if I reject the bill, it just stays the same.
My naam is Neville van Rooi vanaf die Bosman groep in die Sentraal Karoo. Ek verwelkom die Portfolio Committee en die voorsitter hier.
Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Neville van Rooi. I'm from the Bosman group from the Central Karoo, and we welcome the panel here today.
Ek wil ook die tyd neem om my leierskap van die Bosman gemeenskap te verwelkom.
I also want to use this opportunity to welcome the leadership here from the Bushman community.
Die wysigingswet op gas maak my baie bekommerd en ek raak angstig as ek hoor van hierdie gasstorie.
The amendment bill on gas makes me very worried, and it actually makes me quite anxious when I think about it.
Die land is gesteel.
The land has been stolen.
En wanneer ek van hierdie maatskappye en hierdie tipe industrie hoor, raak ek bekommerd en op my senuwees dat die oseaan steeds besig is om gesteel te word.
And when I hear about these companies and corporations, I get an anxiety within myself because I feel like the ocean is still being stolen.
Is die land gesteel vanaf inheemse mense en word die oseaan steeds gesteel van inheemse mense.
The land has been stolen from the indigenous people, and the ocean is still being stolen from the indigenous people.
So hier kom die parlement nou met hierdie wysigingswet op gas.
So here the parliament arrives with this amendment bill on gas.
Is hierdie spasie waar hierdie gas ontwerp gaan word, nie 'n spasie wat inheemse mense soos vissergemeenskappe en vissersmanne alreeds besig om te geniet en te benut nie.
Is this space where the gas will be discovered and found and used, not the space where the indigenous people and the fishermen of the indigenous people are already living and enjoying the fruits of nature?
Word daar nou voorkeur gegee aan maatskappye om vervoer as vloeibare aardgas en saamgeperkte aardgas te doen, te kompeteer met inheemse plaaslike besighede.
So it feels like the corporations are given preference to compete with the native people with the distribution of fluid gas and natural gases.
So hierdie wysigingswet praat alreeds vir my van die ongemaklikheid wat daar gaan gebeur tussen die inheemse mense en hierdie plaaslike multinasjonale maatskappye wat gas wil ontgin in die oseaan of elders in die land.
So this gas bill indicates to me that there's already going to be an uncomfortable situation between these competitive parties, these multinational corporations and the indigenous people.
So die portfolio komitee moet in ag neem dat hierdie kompetisie gaan wrywing veroorsaak tussen hierdie twee maatskappye of hierdie twee liggame.
So you must understand that this conflict is going to create friction between these two parties, between the multinational companies and the indigenous people.
So wanneer het ons in al hierdie energieopnames soos steenkool, kernkrag, al hierdie tipe energies, wanneer het ons die ja-woord gegee dat daar gas moet ontgin word? Wanneer het ons as die gemeenskap ingestem dat hierdie portfolio komitee kan gas gebruik as die alternatiewe toekoms vir die energieopname van Suid-Afrika?
So when we look at the energy surveys, if we look at sources of energy like coal and nuclear power, I just want to ask, when exactly did this community and the indigenous people give the go-ahead, the yes word, for using gas as an alternative?
Want ons het die reg om te versoek watter tipe energie ons in ons land wil opgeneem hê of opgewek word.
Because we have a right to choose what kind of energy we want being made available in our country.
So op die aanvraag van energie in ons land is ons verseker dat daar omgewingsvriendelike energietipes is wat kan aangeskaf word in plaas van gas.
So we are quite certain that in the country of South Africa there are other environmentally friendly methods of getting energy that could rather be used.
Wie het besluit dat gas moet die energie toekoms deel wees van die energietoekoms van Suid-Afrika. Wie het dit besluit? Waar was dit besluit? Wanneer was dit besluit?
So who, when and where was it decided that gas was to be made part of the energy future of South Africa?
Ek wil hê julle moet in ag neem dat ons wil nie ons oseaan gesteel hê van hierdie multinasionale maatskappye verder vir die toekoms nie.
And we want you to know that we do not want our oceans to be stolen by these multinational companies from our future, from our people.
So die vervoer as vloeibare aardgas en saamgeperste aardgas is nie welkom nie.
So this distribution and transportation of fluid and compressed natural gas is not acceptable.
Want aardgas in homself is 'n fossiel brandstof wat teen die aarde praat en klimaatsverandering wat ons tans onsself bevind. Ons bevind onsself in 'n klimaatsverandering krisis en dit moet in ag geneem word in die toekoms dat klimaatsverandering is belangrik vir die toekoms terwyl die res van die wêreld wegbeweeg van fossielbrandstowwe. Hoekom moet ons gas deel maak van ons toekoms? Baie dankie.
So it must be taken into account that natural gas is a fossil fuel, and that goes against the fuels and the energy resources that is good for the environment, the earth, and goes against climate change. We know that climate change is very important globally and that we must consider it and keep it in mind. The rest of the world is moving away from fossil fuels, so why must we use gas?
Good day. My name is Neo Moorcroft. I am a member of the BBA, which stands for the Black Business Alliance. The Black Business Alliance is a business forum of the West here in the West Coast that represents the interest of black businesses in general.
So your name again?
Neo.
My naam is Neo Moorcroft. Ek is van die BBA. Dit staan vir Swart Besigheidsassosiasie en ons is hierso 'n plaaslike groep mense wat vir swart besigheidseienaars in die Weskus verteenwoordig.
Firstly, I would like to welcome the committee to come and hear our views. We appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Ek wil eerstens baie dankie sê aan die komitee wat hierso ons opinies kom hoor. Ons is baie dankbaar daarvoor.
The BBA believes that gas policy needs a fresh makeover to reflect the current conditions on the ground. And it is in this spirit that we support the gas amendment bill and all proceedings thereof.
Die BBA voel dat die gaswet 'n totale verandering of 'n gedaanteverwisseling moet ondergaan en dit is in hierdie idee vir hoekom ons hierdie wysigingswet ondersteun.
The gas amendment bill seeks to amend, amongst other things, one being promotion of triple BEE, two being provide for socio-economic and environmental sustainable development, and three, provide for new development and changing technologies. And we will make our submissions along these lines.
So die gaswysigingswet sou voorkom asof hulle 3 hoofdinge ondersteun. Eerstens is hulle vir die ondersteuning van triple BEE. Tweedens sien ons dat hulle sosio-ekonomiese ontwikkeling en volhoubare ontwikkeling ondersteun en ons sien ook dat hierdie wysigingswet kyk na tegnologiese ontwikkeling en dit is ook gebaseer hierop dat ons dit ondersteun.
Firstly, promotion of triple BEE. It is our view that the gas amendment bill should replicate the mining charter, where mines collaborate with host communities for inclusive procurement and also to build better communities.
As ons eerstens kyk na die triple BEE, sien ons dat die gaswysigingswet voel ons dat die gaswysigingswet 'n soortgelyke roete moet volg as wat ons gesien het in die mynwese, waar hulle die plaaslike gemeenskap deel maak van die verkryging van die nodige dinge wat hulle daar nodig het.
All gas projects should empower the communities they operate in by allocating a reasonable chunk of equity to doorstep communities. And doorstep communities, I mean the communities where they operate in.
So hierdie tipe gas nywerhede moet deel vorm van die gemeenskap en die gemeenskap verryk deur ekwiteit aan te bied aan die mense wat deel is van daardie plaaslike gemeenskap. Ons gebruik die term doorstep communities, dit verwys net na die mense wat fisies daar woon.
Furthermore, the process of allocating equity should align with the BEE principles.
En verdens wil ons net ook stel dat die toewysing van ekwiteit moet gevolg word volgens die riglyne van BEE-riglyne.
All gas projects should promote companies in the gas industry that are owned or controlled by historically disadvantaged South Africans by means of procuring a bulk of their services from these companies.
Alle gasprojekte moet ondersteun word en moet die mense die voordeel gee waar daar maatskappye is wat deelneem in hierdie bedrywighede wat deel maak van voorheen benadeelde gemeenskappe.
The main companies that have acquired the rights to explore for gas in South Africa should erect an enterprise development center for their service providers. These will develop companies owned by historical disadvantaged South Africans to play on even ground with others.
So selfs wanneer dit kom by die verkenning vir gas en vir natuurlike hulpbronne, moet ons ook hierdie voorheen benadeelde groepe bemagtig om deel te vorm van die bedrywighede daarvan.
My second point will be to provide for socio-economic and environmental sustainable development.
My volgende punt gaan oor sosio-ekonomiese ontwikkeling en ook vir volhoubare ontwikkeling.
Companies that have won the rights for exploration of gas or any gas projects in South Africa should erect a skills development center.
Enige maatskappy wat die regte gewen het om te verken of om te ontgin, moet ook daar betrokke word met 'n vaardigheidsontwikkelingsentrum.
Gas exploration projects are lately being opposed on grounds that it will impact the livelihoods of small-scale fishermen in a negative way.
Die verkenning van hierdie gas en natuurlike hulpbronne moet op 'n manier gedoen word waar ons nie mense benadeel nie, ons met spesifieke verwysing hier na vissermanne wat nie op 'n negatiewe manier moet beïnvloed word nie.
Should the project have a negative impact on fishermen, a skills academy can reskill those individuals and purposefully place them in a project value chain.
Indien so 'n projek wel vissermanne negatief affekteer, voel ons dat daar 'n vaardigheidsontwikkelingsentrum moet wees wat hierdie mense nuwe vaardighede moet aanleer en hulle aangestel moet word in 'n nuwe bedryf.
A skills development center must also be used to train doorstep locals who are identified for employment.
Hierdie vaardigheidsontwikkelingssentrums moet ook gebruik word om plaaslike mense wat wil belangstel in die bedryf op te lei.
Good people, good people,
Dames en here,
please, the reason, fortunately, we don't know most of you in the house. I will do this thing to anyone. When you came to make your own submissions. I will protect you, you have a right.
Thank you.
If you don't have to agree with someone's submission. Let's just respect that is his or her view. Anyone, we all accept and acknowledge that we don't share the same views even on this bill. Let's deal with the views, not how we feel about the views of others. Continue, sir.
Dames en here, ons ken mekaar nie en daarom gaan ek dit met almal doen. Ons is hier om ons insette te lewer en te luister na mekaar se insette. So of ons nou saamstem met mekaar of nie oor die insette, kom ons respekteer asseblief mekaar en gee elke een van ons die geleentheid om ons opinies te lewer op hierdie verrigtinge.
Thank you very much for the protection, Chair. A skills development center must also be used to train doorstep locals who are identified for locals.
Hierdie vaardigheidsontwikkelingssentrums moet ook mense ontwikkel wat plaaslik is, wat geïdentifiseer word wat hierdie werk wil doen.
I always say when people, please, again, sorry, people must look, I know you prepared to put it like this, but please check me, because I don't want to say it when people hear. I said let's also be cognizant of time. Let me add and say, if you have not finished, we will allow you to give the submissions to the secretariat there, but if we make it on time, we will give those people a second bite, but let's try and make it a point that everyone who wants to participate at least gets an opportunity to participate on the proceedings of today. So let's just be conscious of time. But everyone who's gonna come here, I've noticed people, they look down like this so that when you show them time, they will not look at, they will not see you that you are saying time. Continue.
Thank you, sir. I just have 2 last sentences. Thank you.
Ek het net nog 2 sinne oor.
Efforts must, I think I said that, in order to have environmental sustainable gas industry, the gas bill should also make provision for carbon capture and storage technology. All projects should possess 1 or 2 to minimize the effects of greenhouse gases on the environment.
So ons voel ook dat in die lyn van omgewingshernubaarheid en omgewingsveiligheid en bewustheid voel ons ook dat die wysigingswet moet voorsiening maak vir wat ons noem carbon capture en die ordentlike en bevoegde stoor van hierdie gasse sodat ons die risiko van groenhuisgasse kan verminder.
Thank you. One lastly, gas is a transitional energy. The world is moving to gas. South Africa is a signatory to the Paris Climate Agreement. And in moving to gas, we can cut our greenhouse gases by 50%. So we as the BBA, we fully support the gas amendment bill and the proceedings thereof. Thank you.
So die laaste ding wat ek wil sê is dat gas is 'n oordragsenergiebron en die wêreld beweeg nou na gas toe en as ons by ons Paris Agreement ondernemings wil hou, gaan ons moet gebruik maak van gas want ons sien dat gas 50% van ons groenhuisgasuitlatings kan verminder. Baie dankie.
Hello. Okay. Hi, my name is Abdul Andrews and I'm just a fisherman with a lot of questions.
My naam is Abdul Andrews en ek is 'n visserman met baie vrae.
We've heard about the bill of 2001 and the new amendment bill proposed for 2021.
Ons het gehoor van hierdie wetsontwerp van 2001 en wat ook nou gebeur in 2021.
And you also said that when we speak in front, we speak mainly about the bill.
En het ook gesê dat ons moet hoofsaaklik praat oor die wetsontwerp.
But the one thing we're forgetting is that behind me is fishermen. Everyday women and men working to sustain their families. They don't understand what the bill is all about.
Maar
They
wat
don't
ons nie moet
understand the
vergeet
politics
nie,
of parliament.
maar wat ons nie moet vergeet nie, is dat, kyk hier agter my, hier sit vissermanne. Daar's mans en vrouens hier wat nie seker is in wat aangaan in die wetsontwerp nie.
And on the end of the day, it's going to come to a series of questions that is going to be a back and forth fighting because of misinformation.
En op die einde van die dag gaan dit net 'n klomp vrae wees waarop 'n antwoord gegee word wat nie verstaan word nie en dit gaan 'n heen en weer moddergooiery word as gevolg van waninligting, misinligting.
Okay. Firstly, is there a seminar, appointment, or anything that is going to be there to inform the actual fishermen of the development that is going to happen and the direct impact that it's going to have on them?
So eerstens, gaan daar 'n seminar of 'n byeenkoms wees wat direk aan die vissermanne verduidelik presies wat gaan gebeur en wat die impak op hulle eie lewens gaan wees.
The thing about it is, these are the people I go out with every morning when it's fishing season, early hours of the morning, to go get their daily bread.
Die ding is, hierdie is die mense saam met wie ek elke oggend uitgaan. Elke oggend vroeg. Hulle is die mense wat mense voer.
But unlike me, none of them has been on an active rig. I'm an inspector, metal and welding inspector, on the oil rigs. And I was working on Moscows as well. So trust me, I know the direct impact it has on the fish itself when we shoot radioactive waves into the seabed to see what is happening down there.
Maar ek wil noem dit, ek was op Mosga self, en ek weet wat die uitwerking is daarvan, as ons radioaktiewe golwe direk na die seebodem toe stuur. Ek weet wat se effek dit het op die visse.
We're talking about the corporate companies that is coming to drill here. Which corporate companies is it? Can Parliament tell us?
Ons weet en ons hoor van korporasies wat hierso gaan boor. Wie is hulle? Wie is hierdie maatskappye? Kan die parlement vir ons vertel?
We also know that when all these corporate companies come and drill here, they call it blocks. It's a certain area owned by that particular company in our sea, sold by our government, with disregard to the average people working their daily bread from the sea.
Sien, wanneer hulle kom, is daar, dit word blokke genoem, waar hulle kan boor, en waar hulle dinge doen. En dit is aan hulle verkoop, dis 'n deel van die see, wat aan hulle verkoop was, deur ons regering, sonder dat hulle enige gevoel het, vir die mense, wat daarvan afhanklik is.
And we can stand here and go back and forth about the amendment bill, but the real question is, did South Africa sell off the sea to these corporate companies already? Because if they did, then all of this is for nothing.
Sien, die ding is, ons kan hierso gesels net soos wil, maar my groot vraag is, het Suid-Afrika se regering reeds hierdie dele van die see en ons natuurlike hulpbronne verkoop aan hierdie maatskappye? Want indien dit die geval is, beteken hierdie wat ons hier doen absoluut niks.
Maar dan behoort julle die mense te laat weet as dit verkoop is. If this is sold, then these companies can do whatever they want in our waters because they have bought these blocks. Also, have these blocks been disclosed to the normal fishermen to show them that they may not enter into waters which is their own?
Maar dan moet julle dit vir die mense sê, sodat hulle dit weet. En wat ek verder wil weet, is daar vir die mense op die grond gesê, hoorie, hier is die blokke waarin julle nie mag wees nie, want dit behoort nou aan daardie maatskappye.
So another thing, 5 years ago, we saw the map of South Africa, the coast, all the way around, where Petro SA, Total, and other companies was involved. And where they have bought these blocks and proposed blocks, like we say proposed.
So 5 jaar terug, as ons na die kaart van Suid-Afrika kyk, en ons kyk na die kuslyne en waar Total en Petro SA en so hierdie blokke koop en hierdie sogenaamde voorgestelde blokke gekoop het.
These blocks, if they were surveyed by different companies and they were sold, then we don't own them anymore. So why are we even here? Why are we talking about amendments when South Africa is, and the government has already sold it off, giving other people rights over the actual South African citizens which live from the sea?
So my vraag is weer, as hierdie dan nou verkoop is aan hierdie mense, waaroor praat ons dan hier? Waarom praat ons oor 'n wysiging op 'n wet wat ons niks oor kan doen nie?
Why doesn't South Africa just come and tell the normal fishermen, listen here, you won't be able to fish there anymore. The fish is going to be contaminated with radiographic energy, and yeah, fish will probably have cancer or something like that.
So hoekom kom
and
die
you
land
won't
nie?
be able to fish in that area because the supply vessel, once you enter that block, the supply vessel will push you out of that area.
So hoekom kom die land nie net na ons mense toe en sê, luister hierso, daardie visse wat jy vang, hulle het allerlei bestraling gehad en alles, en het waarskynlik kanker, en mag jy so intoe gaan nie, jy mag nie daar vis vang nie.
The point of the people being here is when they leave here, they want to understand why they came here in the first place. Not some amendment bill because, yes, back and forth, there's an amendment bill. People don't understand that. We don't understand the politics of Parliament. We want to know, are we able to go fish Is there still good fish? Is this ocean still ours?
Sien wat die mense wil weet is nie hierdie heen en weer gepraat en geklets nie. Ons wil die weg gaan en weet, kan ons gaan vis vang? Is daar goeie visse wat ons kan en mag vang?
And if not, how is the government going to compensate the normal families that have an income from the sea, since the government itself is benefiting from it?
En indien daar nie goeie visse meer beskikbaar is nie, wat gaan die regering doen om hierdie families en mense te vergoed vir die inkomste wat hulle verloor het en vir die feit dat hulle nie vir hulle families kan omgee nie, omdat die regering hierdie hulpbron verkoop het aan privaat maatskappye?
What minerals is still ours?
Wat is nog ons in?
All we had was the gas that is in our ocean. We don't have crude oil.
Al
We
wat
don't
ons
have Brent oil. All South African waters consist of is gas. I know, I work there.
Wat het ons nog oor? Daar's net gas. Ons het nie olie nie, ons het nie Brentolie nie. Al wat ons het is gas. Vra my, ek werk daar.
Question is, are we going to benefit from it? Since it is ours?
Vraag is, aangesien dit ons in is, gaan ons daarbey baat?
South African gas, drilled in South African waters, of which benefit to the South African people?
Suid-Afrika se gas, wat ontgin word in Suid-Afrika se water. Wat gebeur met Suid-Afrika se mense?
So I think we need to take a step back from the actual bill and actually speak to the people and
So I
tell them
think-
what is happening. And again, I remind you, if these oceans are sold, this amendment bill is of null and void actually, because we've already given the rights away. This is only a formality. Let the people know this is their ocean, this is their livelihood, and nobody had the right to sell it without their consent. Thank you.
So praat met hierdie mense, sê vir hulle wat gaan aan. Is dit hulle hulpbronne? Want niemand het die reg om die hulpbronne te verkoop sonder hulle goedkeuring nie. Dankie.
Okay, my name is Siabulela Mafenuka.
My naam is Siapile Mfonke
I'm staying here in Saldanha,
en ek bly hier in Saldanha.
and also I'm the community leader there, here in Saldanha.
En ook ek is 'n gemeenskapsleier hier in Saldanha.
So mine will be very sweet and short. I won't be long.
Ek gaan nie lank vat nie, ek gaan kort en kragtig wees.
We support this bill 150%.
Ons ondersteun hierdie wetsontwerpe 150%.
And here there is a Petro SA, there is a Sunrise and Energy.
Hier is Petro SA en
Dis-
hier is Sunrise Energy.
This thing of gas is not new.
Hierdie ding oor gas is nie nuut nie.
I would like you to speed up this bill because the people are hungry out there.
Asseblief draai spoed aan met hierdie wetsontwerp want die mense daar buite is honger.
Our people, they don't care about these policies, but they need jobs.
Die mense gee nie om oor beleide nie, hulle het werk nodig.
Here we've got the sea.
Ons het die see hier
This sea belongs to the people of Saldanha.
en hierdie see behoort aan die mense van Saldanha.
The government must give them the permission to fish there in that sea because it belongs to them.
Die regering moet vir hulle toestemming gee om te gaan visvang in die see want dit is hulle see.
So I hope that maybe this thing is not going to take 3 or to 10 years.
So ek hoop asseblief dat hierdie ding nie 3 tot selfs 10 jaar gaan vat
At
nie.
least 3 months it will be better. 3 months.
Miskien 3 maande, dit sal beter wees. 3 maande.
Because we are hungry. We don't want to die. Because the minerals are here for us, not for the government.
Want ons is honger. Ons wil nie hê ons moet wag nie. Die minerale is hier vir ons.
Please, we support this bill. We must hurry up because we are hungry. Baie dankie.
Ons ondersteun die wetsontwerp want ons is honger. Dankie.
Please,
Sorry. Lastly, those who don't want to support this bill, they must organize themselves and go to the sea and throw themselves there to the sea. Of course.
Die wat nie die wetsontwerp ondersteun nie, moet hulle self in die see gooi.
Good people. Sorry. Sorry. Can we have order, please?
Orde asseblief.
Can we have order, please? Don't make our work difficult.
Asseblief moenie ons taak hier moeilik maak nie.
I plead with everyone.
Ek vra almal baie mooi.
There are certain things that I don't know how are we going to recommend them when we deliberate.
Daar is dinge wat ek nie weet
So
wat se
please,
voorstel ons
let's
gemaak
say
nie.
things that whatever we say, let's be constructive.
So asseblief,
And
wat
let's
ook al
be
jy sê,
patient with one another.
so wat ook al jy
But
sê,
also, let's not say things that, for me, they make us very uncomfortable as members of parliament.
so asseblief,
Let-
wat ook al
let's-
julle sê, maak
let's
seker
ju-
dit is respekvol en
let's
dat
just
dit opbouend is en dat dit nie ons werk as parlement bemoeilik nie.
Let's just have disagreement with respect. We are allowed to share different views, but I don't want us to go to the extremes of things that we will be called upon tomorrow to say what was the meaning of this. I just beg you, let's make the point. We disagree because of 1, 2, and 3. We agree because of 1, 2, and 3. We carry what are you proposing on the bill. The other things, let's leave them for our own meetings. Continue, sir.
So in opsomming, asseblief, as jy meningsverskil het met iemand anders, wees asseblief respekvol. Noem wat die verskil is, noem wat u teestaan en los dit daar. Moenie ons werk moeilik maak nie, moenie disrespekvol wees teenoor ander nie.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chair, for the opportunity. My name is, I'm the chief Khoisan, of the Khoisan tribe locally. So I'm Chief Kevin Mart of the Kochekwa Akonese tribe that is endemic to this area. I also want to welcome you as Parliament here today.
So ek is die stamhoof van die Khoisan hier. Ek is stamhoof Kevin Maart en ek verteenwoordig ons plaaslike stam hierso en ek wil net graag welkom sê aan die portefeulje komitee hier vandag.
Let me also recognize the presence of the Senior Chief Adrian Jonker of the Kochekwa Kingdom Council in our presence today, and also Commissioner Noel Joseph, also of the Kochekwa Kingdom Council. I sincerely appreciate them being here today.
En ek wil ook net graag erkenning gee aan die senior stamhoof Adrian en ook commissaris Noel Joseph, wat ook hier is as verteenwoordiging van ons stam.
I first need to make an introductory remark. As good as your intentions may be, I have to express my dissatisfaction with the arrangement that you come here on a Sunday when all of us are supposed to be in church, practicing our religious beliefs. I see this as insensitive and disrespectful to this religious community in the West Coast, that you actually have scheduled it for a Sunday and especially at 10 o'clock in the morning.
Ek wil net eers begin deur te sê ek waardeer die goeie bedoeling hier agter, maar ek voel dit is 'n bietjie disrespekvol om op 'n Sondag hier op te dag, op 'n dag wanneer ons kerk toe moet gaan, wanneer ons geloof moet beoefen. Ek sien dit as baie onsensitief en disrespekvol, selfs so vroeg as 10 uur wanneer mense in die kerk sou moes wees.
Mr. Chair, you are asking me if I'm in support or not in support of this act, of this amendment bill. The Kochekwa tribe is not in support of this amendment bill.
As u my vra, meneer die voorsitter, of ek hierdie wetsontwerp ondersteun of verwerp, is my antwoord dat die Kochekwa stam is teen hierdie wetsontwerp.
And for the specific reason, if you look at how this act has been put up and how it has been written, then you see the lack of public consultation within this amendment bill. Because if they have consulted with beneficiary communities or host communities, this bill should have looked totally different from what it is. So I have to reject it.
En die rede daarvoor is as 'n mens kyk na hoe die wet geskryf is dit baie duidelik dat daar geen openbare konsultasie is nie. As daar openbare konsultasie was met die vissermanne maar hierso en alles, sou dit 'n heeltemal 'n ander bewoording gehad het.
I also have the firm belief that this act, if I look at my first comment on the act, and I want to refer specifically to the section 2D, that say that it promote companies in the gas industry that are owned or controlled by historically disadvantaged South Africans to become competitive black people in accordance with the BE Act and gas sector specific requirements. I have an issue with that clause. Clause number 1, the way this clause has been written, it allows a lot of cronyism to happen, nepotism, and even where cadres come in and actually participate in this, because it's very much silent on the horizontal integration of number 1, your host communities. Because the way it is written, it doesn't actually give guidance to any gas company or whoever wants to come and explore in our area on how the horizontal integration of host communities should happen, and nor, number 2, the integration of your indigenous communities.
Ek wil graag noem dat ek glo dat daarso is 'n groot probleem met hierdie wet en ek het kommentaar wat ek wil lewer spesifiek met betrekking tot artikel 2D. Eerstens dat dit gaan lei tot kriminaliteit en nepotisme. Dit wil voorkom asof daar asof dit ten gunste is van horisontale integrasie in die gemeenskap en dat daar so geen aanduiding is vir hierdie gasmaatskappye van presies hoe hierdie horisontale integrasie gaan gebeur nie en ook hoe dit enigstens ons as inheemse mense gaan bevoordeel nie.
So my understanding, my good sir, is that this act or this specific clause has been written to include other people than what the act really intends to reach in terms of its objectives.
So ek verstaan dit dat daar eerder ander mense ingesluit word met die bewoording van hierdie klousule as dit wat die wet uiteensit om te bereik.
And it's a subtle way to see how our local economies can be sort of annexed by people outside of this community, and their economic activities are also not captured within this specific clause that I have referred to.
En dit is ook baie maklik om te sien hoe plaaslike ekonomie geannexeer word deur buitestanders en mense wat van buitekant is en dat die ekonomiese aktiwiteite nie uiting kry in hierdie klousule nie.
And the BE Act was intended to rectify and to make right what was made wrong by apartheid. But again, this new way of approaching the BE Act and writing it into this bill is again perpetuating industrial capitalism that exclude local and host beneficiaries and communities.
En die BBB-wet was veronderstel om dit wat deur apartheid gebeur het aan te spreek, maar dit wil vir my voorkom asof die nuwe voorwoording en hoe dit hier in hierdie wet ingeneem is, sê dit net voor dit wat gebeur het en dat daar so nog steeds industriële kapitalisme is wat nie die mense op die grondvloer, die mense in die drempelgemeenskappe enigstens baat nie.
Then, Mr. Chair, I need to take exception against 2F, where it is explicitly written that it will promote skills among employees, development and employment equity in the gas industry. I take exception against this one because the community, again, is relegated to a beneficiary of all these economic activities and not as an equal partner or participant. If you come with this thing of skills development, it tells me that you are not going to promote what we ask for in terms of procurement or targeted procurement, where we see enterprise and supplier development as key and fundamental objectives that is actually required for any new economic development taking place in our area.
En ek wil ook my aksepsie uitspreek met betrekking tot klousule 2F, waar daar so spesifiek genoem word dat vaardigheidsontwikkeling sal gebeur en dat daar gelykheid in die gasindustrie is, maar dit wil vir my voorkom asof ons weer eens net gerelegeer word om die begunstigdes te wees van wat hier so gebeur en nie in werklikheid gelyke deelnemers in hierdie proses nie. Ja, vaardigheidsontwikkeling is goed en als, maar dit is nie waarvoor ons gevra het nie. Ons moet gelyk deelneem in hierdie ontwikkeling.
Then lastly, Mr. Chair, my last comment on this specific bill is actually referring to 4A and together with it 4P, where I feel there's too much power being given to the minister and the energy regulator to abuse and also to use the power and to allow irregularities within this process.
En dan wil ek ook graag net noem, ek het 'n probleem met 4A en dan nou tesame daarmee 4B, waar daar eenvoudig net te veel magte gegee word aan die minister en die reguleerder om hulle magte misbruik en om onreëlmatighede nou maar net toe te smeer.
If you look at the stringent requirements that our fisher community have to adhere to if they want to apply only for a fish quota or a permit, then it's for me very strange that you give all these powers to a single minister and a committee to decide on what should happen with the future of our ocean.
As mens kyk na die baie streng riglyne en vereistes wat gevolg moet word om 'n visserspermit te kry, is dit vir my baie vreemd om te dink dat daar soveel mag aan een persoon of 'n departement gegee gaan word wat die lewens en die uitkomstes van soveel mense kan beïnvloed.
This powers to make arbitrary decisions without consulting host communities or affected and interested parties is not speaking to what we have actually within our constitution, the constitution of how host communities and interested and affected parties should be, how they should be involved in the processes.
As 'n mens kyk na al hierdie baie mag wat gegee word en dit wil voorkom ons wat gebeur sonder konsultasie, is dit iets wat vir my baie strydig is met dit wat in die grondwet beloof word vir drempelgemeenskappe en vir die betrekking van hierdie drempelgemeenskappe by sake soos die.
And you have actually noted, and I'm closing with this last sentence, is that you have noted in my opening remarks, I said I'm not going to actually support this bill because I feel that there hasn't been proper consultation or consideration of local community interest. If you look at the ecological impact of gas exploration, then this amendment bill doesn't effectively look at how we should actually change that ecological impact, because we all know that now by perpetuating gas as an alternative energy source is not the answer. What we are really looking at is rather a lifestyle change that needs to be promoted, and this bill is not even looking at that, because if we change our lifestyles, because we, the Khoisan, have a history that we have been living in harmony with nature, and there was no issues with that. But now with this new look into things, then we are actually sort of raping the other two P's of the triple P bottom line. And the triple P bottom line speaks to planet, profit, and people. This bill is only looking at profit for these gas companies, not at the people and not at the planet at all. So we reject this bill.
Ten slotte, ek het genoem in my opening dat hierdie wetsontwerp glad nie in lyn is met oordentlike konsultasie en oorweging van plaaslike gemeenskappe nie. Want dit kyk glad nie na enige meningsvolle verandering in die plaaslike ekologie en die impak daarvan nie. Dit wil voorkom asof gas nou prioriteit het en wat eintlik daar moet gebeur is 'n leefstylverandering. En hierdie wetsontwerp kyk glad nie na die geskiedenis van die harmonie en die saamleef met die natuur nie. dit is eintlik besig om die grondslae van BBBE te verkrag. Want die 3 pilare is die planeet, profijt en die mense. En dit wil voorkom asof die enigste ding waarop hulle fokus is basies profijt, wins. Winsbejag is wat hierdie land najaag, nie mense nie.
Good morning. My name is Lawton van Oort, and I am the chairperson of the Saldanha Bay Black Business Alliance.
I like your shoes.
My sandals broke.
Goeiedag, my naam is Lawton van Oort en ek is die voorsitter van die
Saldanha Bay Black Business Alliance.
Black Business Alliance, nee.
Yes.
Black Business Alliance.
And we represent the interests of black business in the Saldanha Bay municipality.
En ons verteenwoordig die belange van swart besigheidseienaars in die Saldanha gemeenskap.
My plea is simple. I would like you guys to please just elaborate on how our communities will be protected and prioritize to grow and prosper in the local economy. We must remember that for decades, an economy of fishing is existing in this specific area, and I suppose in many other coastal towns around our country. Also, how will the amendment ensure that the gas industry will not impede and destroy the current economy and environment that depends on the fishing industry?
So eerstens wil ek graag weet hoe hierdie wysigingswet die omgewing en die mense van die omgewing gaan beskerm en help groei in 'n plek waar ons weet nou al vir die afgelope dekades en baie jare mense vis gevang het hier en afhanklik is van vis. En is nie net hier in Saldanha nie, dis baie kusdorpe waar mense afhanklik is van vis. En ek wil weet hoe gas spesifiek gaan, wat se reëls en regulasies gaan daar wees om die omgewing te kan beskerm teen die negatiewe effekte van gas.
Well, it's specifically on coastal areas where communities have been making ends meet off of it for decades. I also would like to know, is there instead not a way of finding a means to coexist? And I feel that is something that should instead be discussed.
So dit is nou spesifiek met betrekking tot die kusgemeenskappe waar mense afhanklik is van vissery. En my groot vraag is eintlik, is daar 'n manier om saam te leef met hierdie ontwikkeling of nie?
I must iterate that the act has been established in 2001 already, so it has been coming on a long time. And it is here. We are merely discussing, or you are merely proposing discussions on amendments. And these amendments, we must make sure, does not affect the current economies, and it must instead help promote growth and sustaining economies in the local areas. Thank you.
So, ons weet dat die gaswet nou al in 2001 uitgekom het, en dit is nou al lank van toepassing, en julle is selfs hier besig om te praat van wysigings tot die wet. So, al wat ek eintlik vra, is, ons moet seker maak dat hierdie nuwe aanpassings tot die wet help om die ekonomie te versterk, en nie die ekonomie te vertraag nie, en hoe ons volhoubare ekonomiese ontwikkeling in die omgewing ook kan laat voortsit met hierdie aanpassings.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Chairs to all the leadership here. Yes, first and foremost, I want to say that as the small-scale fishing community of Steenbok Schoof, we heavily oppose this amendment to this bill. And secondly, we want to request from the Minister of Mineral and Energy Resources and also the Portfolio Committee, and as well as from Parliament, that a moratorium be placed on all of these gas and oil developments that are currently happening in our oceans.
So eerstens wil ek net sê, dat ons is teen hierdie wysigingswet, en ons versoek van die minister, die portefeulje komitee, en die parlement, om 'n moratorium te plaas, op hierdie ontginning van gas in ons gemeenskappe.
My name is Christian Adams. I am a 4th generation small-scale fisher, and my family have been fishing the waters up along the west coast of South Africa since time immemorial.
So my naam is Christian.
Yes.
My naam is Christian Adams. Ek is 'n 4de generasie kleinskaalse visserman en my familie en ek het nou al vis gevang op die Weskus vir so lank as wat mense sal kan onthou.
Mr. Chair, I want to say that you spoke earlier about the 2 million rand a day fine that will be imposed on some of these, whatever offenders it will be. But what I want to say is that currently in South Africa, according to SARS, the carbon tax is 8 rand per ton on CO2. The international standards on carbon tax per ton is about 45,000 rand. So if you look at that numbers, then South Africa is giving away. Or what we are doing is we are paying to degrade our environment further.
So meneer die voorsitter, julle het gepraat oor hierdie 2 miljoen rand boete wat vir die oortreders opgelê kan word, maar as ons kyk na SARS sien ons dat die koolstoftax, die koolstofbelasting is maar R8 per ton van CO2, waar die internasionale standaard tot en met 45.000 is per ton. So op die ou end van die dag voel dit asof die regering en ons land eintlik betaal om ons ekonomie en ons omgewing te laat neersink tot benede.
In terms of the BBBEE, we've already seen that according to news24.com, the ANC's financial links to Shell, 15 million rand being paid through channels and used for money to pay the wages of the ANC. So how can we as a community that we can't trust our government already, how can we condone and say that, okay, you can continue with this amendment bill and this amendment act?
So in die lyn van BBBEE sien ons volgens nuus 24 dat die ANC selfs 15 miljoen rand gebruik het om die salarisse van hulle werknemers te betaal. So as ons as mense reeds nie ons regering kan vertrou nie, hoe op aarde moet ons instem tot hierdie wetswysigingswet en hoop dat julle dit reg gaan implementeer?
Yes, we are speaking about this gas bill here, and we're looking at around about 2 months ago, $8.5 billion was given to South Africa for the development of greener energy solutions. What strikes me though is that this $8.5 billion was given by the US, the UK, France, and Germany. And if we look at the amount of companies that are involved and where these companies are from, that are involved in this gas and oil exploration, and we directly see the links of where this money is coming from and for what this money will be used. So none of that money will be used in order to utilize greener energy solutions in South Africa.
So ja, ons is hier om te praat oor die gaswet, maar ons het ook in die nuus gesien dat $8.5 biljoen gegee was aan Suid-Afrika vir die ontwikkeling van groen energie. Maar wie is die lande wat hierdie geld voorsien het? Wel, kom ons kyk daarna. Dit is die VSA, die Verenigde Koninkryk, Frankryk en Duitsland. Nou as ons kyk na wie die lande is wat hierso kom gas ontgin en ons natuurlike hulpbronne kom ontgin, sien ons dis dieselfde mense. So op die ou end van die dag kan ons duidelike korrelasie trek tussen waar hierdie geld eintlik heen gaan.
Yes, we are saying that this is some proposals on this bill, but I've already seen on the internet also that you have in 2015 this gas field that they want to continue with here already has got the name. The name of this gas field is called the Ibubezi gas field. And can you tell me from your viewpoint as the portfolio committee, if you knew about this, that this gas field already have a name? That's a question that doesn't need to be answered by the parliament or by the ministry. This is a simple question that I'm putting to you as the portfolio committee.
So ja, ons is hier om te praat oor voorstelle vir aanpassings vir die gaswet, maar ons het ook gesien, in 2015 was daar reeds 'n gasveld hierso gestig. Die gasveld het reeds 'n naam. Die naam is Ibubezi Gasfield. Nou my vraag is, het julle geweet dat hierdie gasveld reeds selfs 'n naam het? En dis nie 'n vraag wat ek vra vir die minister of vir die departement nie. Dis 'n vraag wat ek vra aan julle. Het julle dit geweet?
Yes, we're speaking about moving to greener, according to a spokesman earlier. about moving to greener energy solutions. But with methane gas is 20 times more potent than CO2. And what will happen to the ozone layer if we continue with this methane gas and this BBBE robbery that you are currently busy with?
So ja, ons is hier besig om te praat oor sogenaamde voortbeweeg na groen energie. Maar ons praat hier so oor metaan. Ons weet metaan is 20 keer meer potent as CO2. Wat se skade gaan dit nie maak aan ons ozonlaag en ons omgewing nie?
I've also seen that in the project report that they've got from the Ibubezi gas field, is that around the pipeline, and according to the Colerex, maybe you don't know what Colerex is, but the Colerex is some regulations that we use to manage traffic on the ocean. And in there, they've got some words that we need to use, especially for these platforms that cannot be moved and these pipelines that cannot be moved. We as fishers and fishing communities will be affected detrimentally because of the distance that we need to stay away from these pipelines and these installations that are there. So you're going to come here and you're going to tell me that this is not going to have an effect on me and my livelihood. I've been fishing these waters with my grandfather, with my uncles, and now I'm fishing these waters with my son. What you want is that you want a West Coast without the fishing. You want a West Coast with quiet little fishing villages, but you don't want to see fishermen and fisherwomen in that area. You want to come here, you want to tell me, I am a very skilled person. I am a fisherman. I don't need other skills to perform my activity of fishing. Let me tell you that. Don't come and tell me that we need to upskill. Where did he run away to now? Now you start running away. We don't want to be anything else. We want to remain as fishers. And this gas and oil fields was going to come here and it's going to come and destroy our livelihoods of fishing. We've already seen the detrimental effects that it's got in the St. Helena Bay Harbor, whereby the dredging that they've done in St. Helena Bay has moved fish about nearly 600 meters out of the harbor. There's no more life. There's no more life. There's not a fish. I speak on behalf of thousands of people, Mr. Chair. So please grant me the time. There's no more fish in that area, just after dredging. It's not even in the oil field or anything yet. Sorry. Okay, thank you. Allow me to finish, man, and then I can. Okay. Yeah. So there's not a single fish, not a single lobster, not a single mullet in that area outside of our harbor. And that's only because of the dredging. There's no methane gas that's been digged up yet. There's no oil that's been digged up yet. Just sand being taken out. And we've seen with our own eyes the effects that it's got in that immediate area. That is there. In 2017, you came here with the Marine Spatial Planning Bill. We told you, yet again, you didn't consult us. You come here now, this is a tick box operation for you. So yes, tick, we've consulted with the people of the West Coast. Continue Gwede Mantasha by raping our oceans and raping our country of its resources.
So ons het gesien met die verslae wat ons al gesien het dat daar met die vervoer van hierdie gas is daar 'n effek wat dit het op die afstande tussen waar ons kan wees by die vis en by die see en waar ons gaan moet bly. Wat se effek gaan dit nie hê nie? Ek het hier vis gevang saam met my ooms, my oupa se pa en nou vang ek vis saam met my seun. Julle soek 'n Weskus met oulike vissersdorpies, maar julle soek nie die vissermanne daar of die visservrouens daar nie. So, ek is hier om vir jou te sê, ons wil nie noodwendig ons vaardighede ontwikkel nie, want ons is reeds vaardig met visvang en ons wil so bly. Ons het reeds die effek gesien by St. Helena Bay, waar nou, as gevolg van die bedrywighede wat daar is, die visse nie binne 600 meter kom van daardie hawe nie. Daar is geen lewe in daai omtrek nie. Geen vis om van te praat nie, geen krewe nie, niks nie. En dis net as gevolg van sand wat hulle daar bewerk. Daar is nie eers olie wat hulle daar bewerk nie. Des tog te meer. In 2017 het julle gekom met die Marine Spatial Planning Bill. Maar julle het dit gedoen sonder om te konsulteer met die mense. Nou sê julle wil konsulteer met die mense, maar ek sê vir julle nou, as julle voortgaan, is julle besig om hierdie mense van die omgewing en die omgewing self te verkrag.
Good morning to the Portfolio Committee, to all the leaders of the Khoi and San communities from the local area. My name is, I'm Paramount Chief Martinez Fredericks of the Nama people. That in your language would be called the Nama people. Many people would then ask the question, but what are the Nama people doing in this neck of the woods? The simple answer to that, historically the Nama people frequented, lived in this area right from the mouth of the Berg River up to Walvis Bay. So we've got all the interest in this area and what's happening here. And we're very, very concerned about what's happening, all the development without the consent of the local people. My people used to be fisher people. They lived off the sea. They lived off the land. They sustained themselves. My big concern is this exercise that you're currently busy with, you're doing. You talk about the revisiting of a current piece of legislation. In my opinion, it's merely to get consent to say that people participated, they make input, and in principle they agree that the act can go ahead in its revised form. But let me tell you this.
Goeiedag hierso en ek wil graag net welkom uitspreek aan die leiers van die Khoisan gemeenskap en almal hier teenwoordig. Ek is stamhoof Martin Fredericks en ek verteenwoordig die Nama mense en u mag dalk hierso vra wel wat maak die Nama mense hier? En die antwoord daarop is ons was al lank hier. Ons is nogal gereeld op hierdie plekke van daarso van die Bergrivier af. En ons is baie besorg oor wat tans gebeur met visserye en met wat aangaan hierso op ons land. En ons het hier so 'n groot kommer wat ons wil uitspreek, want dit wil voorkom asof daar so tans die heroorweging van hierdie wet is, en dit is hoe dit lyk vir die publiek, maar wat eintlik dit wil my voorkom hier so gebeur, is dat u soek net dat ons almal moet saamstem en sê ja en amen, ja ons het die insette van die mense gekry, kom ons gaan nou maar voort.
I want to bring your attention to some piece of legislation. You might remember the Richtersveld versus Alex court case that happened in the Richtersveld community. The local community took the Alex Core and the government to court. And through the Constitutional Court, a fundamental ruling has been made. One is to say that the people of the land cannot be separated. They cannot be separated from the land. That they have exclusive use to the land, that they have the full right to the minerals and the mineral rights of the area. And that the right to the land, including the sea, is an inalienable right to the land.
Ek wil net die aandag daarop fokus op die Richterveld versus die Alex Core hofgeding, waar die plaaslike gemeenskap Alex Core hof toe gevat het en daar is besluit deur die grondwetlike hof dat die mense en die grond waarop hulle bly onafskeidbaar is en dat daar uitsluitlike regte gegee word aan die mense wat daar bly met betrekking tot minerale, mineraalregte, die gebruik van die grond en ook van die see.
So what I do pick up, in this revised act, there's no reference to free and prior consent of the local communities. You talk about BEE, Black Economic Empowerment. With that, you automatically disqualify the Khoi and San communities because they're not black.
U praat hier so, jy weet daar so van, dit wil voorkom asof daar so geen samehorigheid of samewerking is met die drempelgemeenskappe nie. Dit wil voorkom asof daar hulle opinies glad nie tel nie. En dan wil ek verder vra oor die BBBE situasie. Sluit dit dan die Khoisan mense en die Boesmans uit?
the main issue at the moment is that they talk about changing the act, but they don't talk in principle about the seismic test that they will be doing, actually sterilizing this whole coastline. It means that the livelihood of local people, fisher communities, will be totally destroyed. Case in point is the same company that wants now to do the seismic test in the West Coast have tried to do it in the East Coast, and the court ruled in favor of the community. So there must be something definitely wrong with those things.
Sien, die ding is, daar's geen sprake van hierdie seismiese toetse nie. En die probleem daarmee is, dit steriliseer die kuslyn. Dit maak dat daar net geen lewe daar so is nie, en dit vernietig mense se lewens. Nou hierdie selfde maatskappy wat toetse gedoen het, aanvanklik in die Oos-Kaap, dit is geweier. Daar was beslis ten gunste van die plaaslike gemeenskappe, want dit werk nie.
There's another thing that I need to put to you. People tend to say, they drive a narrative to say that the Khoi or the Khoi and San people, they are extinct, they don't exist anymore. It's not entirely true. They were always here.
Daar's mense wat sê dat die Khoisan stam uitgesterf het. Ooglopend is dit nie waar nie, ons is nog daar.
We've always lived here. It's unfortunately that through apartheid's legislation, our identity would change to drive a particular narrative, to tell to the international community that we do not exist anymore, that our identities has been taken away from us.
Die ding is, ons het nog altyd hier gebly, ons was nog altyd hier, en dit is ongelukkig as gevolg van apartheid, wat ons identiteit verander het, dat die internasionale gemeenskap dink, dat ons nie meer bestaan nie.
And I need to put it to you that, remember, South Africa is a signatory to two conventions. One is the International Convention on the Political and Civil Rights of Indigenous People. The other one is the International Convention on the Economic and Cultural Rights of Indigenous People. So South Africa is bound by law, by international law, to respect the rights of indigenous people, including the United Nations, the UNDRIP. Article 31 of UNDRIP is very, very clear that the people, the indigenous people, they have the right to decide what happened in their areas. They have the right to the land, to the resources, and so forth.
Ek wil net noem dat Suid-Afrika 2 verdragte onderteken het, waar daar so gepraat word van onder meer die siviele regte van die inheemse mense en ook die ekonomiese regte van die inheemse mense. En ek wil u aandag eintlik vestig op artikel 31 wat waarborg dat die inheemse mense van daardie areas 'n reg het om te besluit wat gebeur met daardie area, wat gebeur met dit wat op daai area is.
And lastly, I need to put it to you that our land, remember in 1913 there was 4 provinces. In 1961 when they declared a republic, it was made an act of parliament to say that the Cape province will be reserved for the Khoi and San colored people. And at the same time, a trust was registered under the name of the Colored Persons Trust. So the land, the minerals, the mineral rights is all still currently in their trust. And I don't pick it up that there's any talk about getting the permission or the consent from the beneficiaries of those trusts. And these are the things that the portfolio committee need to look at seriously. It's not just about the points on the amended bill, but they need to look at the fundamentals of these issues.
En as ons 'n bietjie kyk na in 1913, toe daar in Suid-Afrika net 4 provinsies was, en toe in 1961 toe dit 'n republiek geword het, is die Kaap-provinsie spesifiek gereserveer vir die Khoisan mense, en daar is 'n trust gestig, die Colored Persons Trust, waar daar so spesifiek die minerale in hierdie trust is. En ek sien geen sprake nou van waar daar toestemming verkry word om die minerale en die gebruik van die dinge wat in hierdie trust is te kan gebruik nie.
And lastly, in terms of this act, we most definitely do not support this bill or the amendments to the bill because we don't even support the initial act of 19. What is the initial? of 2001. We do not support that act. We do not support the revised act because it infringes on our rights as indigenous people.
Ek wil dit net baie duidelik maak dat ons verwerp hierdie wysiging op die wetsontwerp, want ons verwerp die aanvanklike wet van 2001, want dit is nie behoorlik hersien nie, ons verwerp dit in sy totaliteit.
Thank you.
Dankie.
Manibulise kundlu yonke, igama lami ndinguWongeka Xatasi.
I'm Wongeka Xatasi, and greetings to everyone present here.
Ndisuka eMdantsane, Eastern Cape, and ndihamba ne-organization ekuthiwa Eastern Cape Environmental Network kunye no Green Connection.
I'm from Dantsane in the Eastern Cape and also representing the
Eastern Cape Environmental
the
Network.
Eastern Cape Environmental Network and Green Connection.
Thina ke silapha ngokuthi asihambisani nalo mkhuba. Sithi ngomkhuba ke lo because sonke silapha siyayazi into kokubana ngaba uminister nesigqeba sakhe bafuna nje ukusoxutha ulwandle lethu into esesishiyeke nayo phantsi kwegama le Black Economic Act abayazi into kokubana ngaba ayisisebenzeli singabantu abamnyama.
We are not supporting this action of these public hearings regarding this amendment. The reason for that, we know the intention is for the minister to take the ocean away from us, which is the only thing we have in our possession.
Siyayazi and nayo uyayazi kakuhle into kokubana ngaba urhulumente wengcinezelo wasoxutha yonke into esasinayo ngoku le seyishiyekile sesisithi yeyethu sisakwazi uyibanga bafuna nje ukuyikrwekrweda.
And they are fully aware that the ocean is the only thing that is left for us, which we are from all the possession, what we have in our possession that was taken away by the apartheid government. Now the only thing that we have, which is the ocean, they want to take it away.
Iqondo bangumkhwalo bazimisele kuwo amalungelo amangaka uminister afuna uba nawo kuba bezazi into kokubana ngaba bazawukutya ngathi thina sihlale silambile mos into abayenzayo ukuthi olambileyo makasesike lamba kakade.
The power that is given to the minister, which is such a huge power, is clearly indicative of their intention that the poor should remain poor, the rich should become richer.
Kodwa ke akho nto siyothukayo kuloo leyo kuba kaloku bangaba bangoyikiyo uthandaza kodwa umuntu uyazazi uba uphethe iagenda engekho right kodwa uzawuqala athethe ngomthandazo abonqeni ukukhwaza amagama wabantu abalela ukuthula ababazi into kokubana ngaba balwela eli lizwe kodwa bona bayazazi into kokubana ngaba bayabanyevulela ukuthi na ukoxutha umuntu omnyama isonga sakhe sokugqibela kodwa bayayazi into kokubana ngaba ngexesha esasivotela i-ANC sasisithi sifuna thina abantu abamnyama into kokubana ngaba sisithuthuke basisaphi na ke ngoku.
We are not surprised because even if they are opening their meetings, they will start with a prayer and even mention the names of the late, those who were the legends who fought for democracy and freedom that we are enjoying today. But after that, they go astray and do things which are not in favor of the people who voted for them. They know very well that all that we had in our possession has been taken away. Now the only thing that we have in our hand or in our possession, they want to take that away also.
Uminister uba ufuna ukuthetha nathi umqwathi makeze kuthi singabantu athethe nge-renewable energy akho nto sinoyiphikisa ke kuleyo uba yinto esiyazi into kokubana ngaba izawunceda thina sonke incede nesizukulwana sethu. Enkosi.
If the minister is so keen to talk to us, he should come here himself in person and talk to us about the renewable energy, because that's the only thing that we know is going to benefit us and even our generations. Thank you.
Righteous, my name is Dr. Greg Stephen Fick. I'm Dana Guap Fim, leader of the first indigenous nation of Southern Africa here in the Western Cape. Okay. You want me to repeat that? Okay. My name is Dr. Greg Stephen Fick. I'm the Danagwap Fib of the first indigenous nation of Southern Africa, in short called Finza, and I'm one of the leaders here in the Western Cape. I've prepared a submission on behalf of Finza, but for the sake of time, I'm just going to email it to your secretariat. But allow me to speak from a personal opinion as Greg Fick. I am Kham. I know who I am. I know where I come from. I'm of this land. This land has been taken away from us. Our sea has been taken away from us. 27 years in democracy, and we're still fighting for our rights. Mr. Chair, thank you for this opportunity, and greetings and protocols to all our Khoisan leaders and culture leaders. Section 25 of the Constitution of South Africa, 7, states that the Constitution provides for the restitution of the rights in land to persons and communities who were dispossessed of their properties and their rights. Mr. Chair, if you have listened carefully to certain people, especially our fishermen, our indigenous people, if you have listened this morning and this afternoon to those who are poor, who cry out to you, we are hungry. These are people that don't really care about the act. I want to salute you for taking the opportunity when you came to greet us, to explain to us who you are, who you represent. But no one continuously, in every submission that I have made, I've come to learn that portfolio committee after portfolio committee failed the constitutional responsibility to the people of this land. Your responsibility is to give us free, informed, and you desperately need our prior consent. You can't come here and tell us, the people, when the Bill of Rights of South Africa tell us that we, the people, shall govern. We have now testimony that this government, through their portfolio committees, have given the indigenous people a traditional Khoisan leaders bill and act. The president, after being remanded or advised by his own constitutional advisory council that the act is unconstitutional, have signed it into an act. I'm stating to you that this act, prior to this bill, is unconstitutional towards the indigenous people and our farmers and our fishermen. The people that have to make sure that we are alive. These gases have a history, Mr. Chair, a history all over the world of destroying indigenous communities, destroying those poor people that live from the sea, telling us that we must make way for gas companies. What do they want to give us? Let's pause for a moment, Mr. Chair, and ask ourselves. Come look around here. Don't just come and visit us here when you must come. Come look in our communities. Come walk with them, not when it's voting. Now, while we are hungry and our people suffering. And see if the constitutional rights of the Khoi and San people, of the people of Saldanha, of the people of St. Helena, of the people of Eland Bay, the people on the East Coast, if their rights are celebrated. If one of these companies, these gas companies, these petrol companies have ever done any good for us, they've done nothing for us but destroy our livelihood, take away from us the right to provide food for our children. Let's pause for a while, Mr. Chair, and listen to the gentleman that said, I'm hungry. Give me this bill. I want to ask you, Mr. Chair, why didn't the people come like you came and teach our people what is act? What is an act? Ask the people here on the ground, what is an act? They won't think you're talking about actors. You want to look at this document here? The words, provisions of efficient, effective, and sustainable gas transmission, amendment section 2 of Act 48 of 2000. That's paragraph 35. The ordinary man on the street must take this, a legal document, and he must come and give a submission here. I'm a legal. I study legal documents, and it takes me time to understand not even half of what I have here in my hands. Lastly, Mr. Chair, you've heard some of the people complain that this bill want to give the minister so much power. Here, Mr. Chair, right here in the Western Cape, we have an experience of a minister that did not consult with the community, that did not look at the input that was given by professionals, if it was good or bad, simply because there's money at stake. They disrespect our rights. They don't come and teach us. They don't come and explain to us if there's a benefit in this thing or not. They come and give us papers and a bottle of water and expect us in a day's time, in a day's time to read, understand, and take 5 minutes to give input. Let me finish off by saying, Mr. Chair, God gonna keep you people accountable because you think that we the people, you think we the people, after 27 years of voting for this government into power, are blind to see that you people have became the most corrupt government in South Africa, and how do you expect us to trust corrupt people in power? No, Mr. Chair. We're saying to you, before you make up your minds, you need to come back and teach the people according to the Constitution of South Africa, because we will fight this bill. We will fight this bill in the Constitutional Court if we have to. We will not accept it, and we will continue to fight that the entire act be disregarded and scrapped and repealed as unconstitutional. I thank you, Mr. Chair.
Goeiedag almal, ek is Greg Steven Fig en ek verteenwoordig Finza, maar ek is nie vandag hier om Finza se opinies te lig nie. Ek is hier om my eie persoonlike opinie te lig. Ek weet wie ek is, ek weet waar ek vandaan kom. Ek kom van hierdie land af, ek kom van hierdie see af. Hierdie is my plek en dit word my af weggeneem. 27 jaar se demokrasie en al wat julle gedoen het is gevat en julle vat nog steeds. Ek dink aan artikel 25 van die grondwet van Suid-Afrika wat sê dat daar institusies sal wees vir die inheemse mense wat uit hulle plekke uit weggevat is. Maar dit word nie gedoen nie, dit gebeur nie. Hoekom luister julle nie aan die mense wat hier so uitroep en sê ek is honger nie? Nee, daai mense gee nie om oor die wet nie, hy gee nie om oor dit nie, hy gee om oor wat gaan hy vanaand eet. En ek vra vir julle, verduidelik asseblief, wie is julle? Want portefeulje komitee, een na die ander, kom maar net hier en hulle doen wat hulle moet doen en hulle sê wat hulle moet sê, maar niemand van julle voel ek regtig waar het ons toestemming gekry en ons instemming gekry nie. Die grondwet sê dat die mense die land moet regeer. Dink julle dit gebeur hier? Nee. Daar is wette in plek wat veronderstel is om dit te beskerm, maar hierdie spesifieke wet waaroor ons vandag hier praat, is ongrondwetlik. Dit is teen die inheemse mense, dit is teen die boere, dit is teen die vissers. Kyk 'n bietjie na die geskiedenis van wat gasse alles gedoen het. Orals waar dit ontgin is, vernietig dit gemeenskappe, veral die wat 'n lewensbestaan voer uit die see. Hierdie wet is ongrondwetlik, so daar is geen manier hoe ons hierdie wetsaanpassing gaan goedkeur nie. Gee pad vir gas, dis wat julle sê. Hier is gas, dis wonderlik, maar wat kry ons daaruit? Kyk na die mense op die grond. Kyk na hoe honger hulle is. Kyk na die regte van die mense wat hier in die Ooskus is, word ons regtig gevier, soos wat die grondwet sê dit moet dit word nie. Hierdie petrolmaatskappye en hierdie gasmaatskappye, hulle gee niks om vir ons nie, hulle doen niks vir ons nie, al wat hulle doen is hulle vat en hulle vat net weg van ons af. Luister na wat ons sê, luister na daai man wat vroeër gesê het, hy is honger. Moenie net na ons toe kom met, hier is 'n wetsontwerp nie, leer ons wat hier is. Wat is 'n wet? Wat is 'n wetsontwerp? Wat is 'n wysiging? Hierdie woorde is hoog, dis moeilike woorde, niemand verstaan dit nie. Ek het 'n agtergrond in die reg, ek bestudeer wette, en dit het my 'n rukkie gevat, om hierdie mooi te verstaan. En nou verwag julle dat as jy moet aankom, 'n stuk papier kry en 'n bottel water kry, en daaruit moet ons nou hierdie kort tydjie om dit te lees, en dan net 5 minute, om 'n voorlegging te maak. Dit is onaanvaarbaar. God sal julle aanspreeklik hou. Julle dink, ons is blind. Ons weet, julle is korrup. Ons kan julle nie vertrou nie. Nee, kom terug na ons gemeenskappe toe. Nie wanneer dit verkiesingstydperk is nie, nou, wanneer ons mense honger is. Ons gaan hierdie wysiging teestaan, ons gaan hierdie wet teestaan, tot in die grondwetlike hof as dit moet.
We're done? Okay, I will. Yeah. Greetings to the chair, the portfolio committee, and the community at large. My name is Victoria Makila. I'm a businesswoman based in Cape Town. I've been in the maritime oil and gas space for the past 15 years. Thank you for the opportunity to hear us. I first have an appeal that before you hear us, teach us. I only received the invite for submissions on Thursday. And lots of people in the community, in the LPG space, in the business space, also received it on the same date. We haven't had adequate, let me just finish the thought. We haven't had an adequate chance to look through the bill and therefore unable to comment appropriately. So I just appeal that in future, can you teach us so that you can hear us?
Goeiemôre aan almal hier. My naam is Victoria en ek is 'n sakevrou wat woonagtig is in Kaapstad. En ek het nou al 15 jaar lank 'n ondervinding in sake van die see en olie en gasse. En ek wil graag sê dankie vir hierdie geleentheid, maar asseblief ek wil mooi vra. Leer ons voordat jy hoor wat ons te sê het. Ek en vele ander mense wat ek ken, het eers te hore gekom van hierdie gebeurtenis op Donderdag. En dit beteken dat ons het nie genoeg tyd gehad om behoorlik voor te berei en 'n behoorlike voortlegging voor te berei nie. So ons kan dus nie behoorlike kommentaar lewer nie. So ek vra asseblief, gee vir ons genoeg tyd. Leer ons, wys vir ons wat gaan aan voor u verwag om na ons te luister.
Before I comment directly from the bill, I just want to express my own account and my own experience as a woman in business and the impediments and obstacles that I have faced in order to operate in the oil and gas space. Firstly, I find that as a woman trying to break into the LPG space, land is such a big issue. When we liaise with associations like the IDZ, I've liaised with the IDZ of Saldanha to be quite specific. And there is no prioritization for locals. There is no prioritization for black people or black woman enterprises. There is no prioritization for small to medium enterprises. And I just feel that the minister cannot be given more power with regards to the land issue. However, there needs to be a process that allows access to small and medium enterprises like myself to infiltrate and operate in the market, because I'm an operator and a manufacturer in the space.
Voor ek kommentaar lewer, wil ek net graag eers 'n bietjie iets sê oor my eie ervaring as 'n vrou in hierdie sakewêreld en die teëspoed wat ek gehad het. Een van die dinge wat ek oor wil praat, een van my eerste probleme is, as 'n vrou wat in hierdie terrein wil toetree, is grond 'n groot kwessie. En ek weet ek het probeer samesprekings hê met die IDZ, veral die IDZ hier in Saldanha, en dit is baie duidelik dat daar geen prioriteit gegee word aan plaaslike inwoners nie, of aan swart mense, of spesifiek swart vrouens, of klein en medium sakeondernemings nie. En ek is baie gekant teen die feit dat die minister meer krag moet hê in hierdie gebied. Ek voel daar moet 'n proses wees waar mense op daardie manier kan toegang kry om deel te neem in hierdie arena.
Secondly, the Act also talks about non-discrimination. I've found that in my own experience, liaisons with the all majors will give you allocations. So they're very open to say, yes, you have allocations of gas until you actually need the gas for supply. Allocations are not available. It's a very systematic way to close the market out to small and medium enterprises like myself. So the clause of exclusivity, for me, is neither here and there. The market is already very exclusive. It's monopolistic. And to include a clause on exclusivity only kills the small and medium enterprise. I reject the clause on exclusivity, and I feel that non-discrimination clause needs more teeth.
Ek wil graag my tweede punt opper. En daarso word genoem dat hierdie wet juis nie diskriminasie op die voorgrond bring. En ek voel dit is nie die geval nie. Dit is, ja, daar word gesê, ja, hierdie toetrede is oop en dit is vry en alles, maar totdat jy dit werklik waar nodig het, dan is dit nie beskikbaar nie. En dit wil voorkom vir my as vir die mark baie uitsluitlik is, baie monopolisties is, en dat klein en medium sakeondernemings onderdruk word. En dat hierdie wet, ek daarom dus wil teestaan, want dit wil voorkom asof dit net gaan verder voer.
Then my last part with regards to my experience. Once you as a small or medium enterprise realize that you simply cannot operate in the South African market, you start to look to neighboring countries like Zimbabwe and Namibia to try and supply gas there. And then you met with another set of obstacles from SAPS. You go through and you get your import and export license, and then they require a 25 million bond to stay in their coffers as a guarantee. How is a small and medium enterprise supposed to have access to that amount of money? And that is just another way how the LPG market is closed to new entrants like myself.
En dan my derde punt wat ek wil maak, is dat as 'n klein en medium sakeondernemer om mee te wil ding in Suid-Afrika, jy gaan baie gou agterkom, dit is net nie moontlik nie. Daar is nie toetrede in Suid-Afrika nie. So, dan kyk 'n mens nou maar na buurlande en jy dink ek gaan dalk my gas versprei soontoe, maar dan sê SARS o nee, daarso is 'n hele klomp probleme wat SARS dan ook veroorsaak. En dit wil voorkom asof jy 25 miljoen op die tafel moet kan sit voor jy eers kan deelneem in die buiteland. En as 'n klein of medium sakeonderneming, hoe doen jy dit?
So that's it for my personal experience, but I'd just like to add, just looking through the bill, although I haven't had adequate time to thoroughly peruse it, I see that it does not define the word license, and I'm not sure whether we are now talking about a whole new license, or the wholesale license suffices as an operator or trader in the space, and clarification of the word license would be great. They also speak of the gas energy regulator. Is this different from the normal energy regulator? And if so, why is the bill trying to increase the bureaucratic red tape that's already in place by requiring more licenses and, yeah.
En ek wil ook net noem dat, weer eens, ek het nie genoeg tyd gehad om die wetsontwerp deeglik deur te lees nie, maar ek voel dat daar 'n groot kommernis is die feit dat die woord lisensie nie behoorlik gedefinieer is nie. Ek is nie seker presies wat daardeur bedoel word nie, en ek wil graag vra om dit asseblief te verduidelik en mooi duidelik te maak presies wat dit is. En dan verder wil ek graag weet, daar sprake van die gas-energiereguleerder teenoor die energiereguleerder, en ek wil net graag weet presies wat is die verskil daar, en ook hoekom word daar nou meer papierwerk en weer moeilikheid en meer probleme ingebring? Dit voel vir my asof dit net die hele saak wil bemoeilik.
There is a proposal for a minimum of 2 million rands for non-compliance as a penalty. I find this very frustrating. I would like to know how the department came to that amount. How is this in line with the development of the industry? Is there any other industry with a non-compliance amount of that figure? And why are all transgressions pooled into the same basket? Delay in commencing activities is the same as health and safety. I just think that the 2 million minimum compliance amount surely eradicates the small and medium enterprise from playing in the market.
Ek wil graag dan ook weet oor die 2 miljoen rand se boete per dag vir die nie voldoening van die reëls nie. Ek vind dit baie frustrerend. Ek wil graag weet, hoe is daar besluit op hierdie spesifieke bedrag? En is daar ander industrieë wat soortgelyke reëls het? En hoekom is daar een spesifieke boete ongeag wat die oortreding is? En as 'n mens mooi daaroor dink, weer eens 'n 2 miljoen rand boete per dag sluit beslis klein en medium sakeondernemings uit.
I would have hoped to come and stand here with some constructive solutions to my issues. I, however, don't have much suggestions or constructive advice. My question is, who is this bill actually protecting? The small, medium enterprises feel disenfranchised. The black child feels disenfranchised. The local Saldanha Bay fisher feels disenfranchised. Who is this bill actually protecting?
En ek sou graag hê dat jy wou kom met oplossings, met voorstelle, met raad. Maar ek het niks. Ek kan nie dit gee nie. En my vraag is, wie beskerm hierdie wetsontwerp? Want is beslis nie die klein en medium sakeondernemings nie. Is beslis nie die swart kind nie. Is beslis nie die plaaslike visser nie.
In closing, I'd like to mention the Competition Commission report that was released in 2015 that was about the LPG market. None of the recommendations seem to have been taken into account in drafting of this amendment bill. That Competition Commission recommendation sought to open a closed and monopolized market. Can we ensure that this bill allows a more competitive and free entry and free market trade? Thank you.
En dan wil ek ook net ten slotte aandag vestig op die verslag van 2015, waar daar so geen van daardie regulasies in ag geneem word in die beskrywing van hierdie wetsontwerp nie. Ek vra vir 'n wetsontwerp wat vryer toegang en vryer deelname in hierdie arena toelaat.
Thank you very much with those inputs. You see, now I'm put in a very awkward situation. You see, when we say public hearings, people speak for themselves. Now the risk is very high that we may now have to be interpreted to say they are represented when they feel they wanted to speak for themselves. So it's unfortunate, but I don't want to eat more time. I will respond to certain things that are made to the committee. Unfortunately, I did say from the opening that there are things that are beyond our control as a committee of parliament. Those rules are there. Any and every committee goes according to those rules. One of those is a starting time and an ending time. There is no compromise. It's not us. It's not that we don't want to. It's a different story also between an oversight and a public hearing. A public hearing is almost the same way where we could be, whether virtual or physically. We will have a starting time of the committee and a day of the committee to meet. That is unfortunately not us, it's a rule. But a oversight means if we go to that place, we decide the time. An oversight is where we say, if for instance, and be honest here, we were coming here on some of the things we are talking about, it means we're gonna carry the department with us, so that when you raise all your concerns, the department responds. We also ask so that we can prepare a report on what did we find when we went there. Unfortunately, now we are not on an oversight. We are on a public hearing. Can I take the last 5 hands and it will be 3 minutes? Only 5. If I didn't count you on 5, I'll take 1, I'll take 2, I'll take 3. Skip a cielo. Skip a cielo. I'll take 4 and I'll take 5. The one with a pink dress. That's all. So number 1, number 2, number 3. Where's number 2 was here? Oh, okay. No, ma'am, I said 5. You can't chair when I chair. There's a woman who's on the stand. Can you come, ma'am? The one with the pink. Just 3 minutes, ma'am.
Hi, goeiemiddag. Ek is Naomi Kloete van Paternoster. Visserkind gebore, visservrou, vissermama. Ek wil net vir u, ek wil nie baie praat nie. Maar al wat ek vir u wil sê, julle het alreeds die government het alreeds besluit wat hulle gaan doen. Ons vissers word nie in ag geneem nie. Ek voel die vissers word nie erken nie. En ons lewe hang van die see af. As daai olie en gas gedril in daai water kom, waartoe gaan ons lewe? Af in die drein. Want die vis gaan dood. Alles wat in hy see is gaan dood. Ons vissers is nie geskoold nie. Ons is geskoold ja om 'n visserman en 'n visservrou te wees. En wat ek daarmee bedoel, is die government het al reeds vir ons soete nagekom. Hulle het vir ons 7.000 rand vir die jaar gegee. Daar is 'n bietjie kreef wat hulle gegee het. Ons moet daarvan lewe van November tot en met November. So, ons moet 'n jaar daarvan lewe. Nou kom julle nog en julle wil die vis in die see en die kreef uit die see kom dryf, kom doodmaak met julle gas en olie. Ons sê nee. Want ons is al reeds verarm, ons word kriminele genoem, en ons is moeg van julle besluite, want julle kom sit hier vandag, maar julle het klaar die besluite geneem. Ons input wat nou hier gaan in die vullis mandjie. So ons stel nie belang nie. Dankie.
My name is Naomi Kloete. I was born here, I was born a woman, I'm a fisherman and a fisherman mom. But it seems to me as if you've come here, but you've already made your decisions. Your decisions have already been made, but we as the fisherman community have not been taken into account. We as the fishermen depend on the ocean for our livelihood. But if the oil and gas flows into the seas, it means death. It means that the fish and everything that we rely upon will be dead. We are given between 6,000 and 7,000 rand, and that's what we are supposed to live on from November to November, but that's not possible if we don't supplement that with being able to catch our fish. So we as a community say, no, we've already been called criminals, we've already been called names, but we as a community say no, and that's all I have to say.
Greetings, my name is Marshall de Bruin. I'm from More Energy. We operate in the West Coast. We are a small business in the LP gas space. Also, we didn't get a chance to go thoroughly through the amendment of the bill. So I will ask Parliament just to give small black businesses more chance to go through the bill. Because already if you go through the notices of comply, there's no chance for any small business in the LPG space to operate if this bill is passed. So give us more chance, because outside there to be compliant, there's a lot of challenges. This bill actually compound on the current red tape that there is for us to operate legally. That's all I want to say. Thank you.
My naam is Marshall de Bruin en ek wil net sê dat ek werk in die bedryf as 'n klein besigheidseienaar en verteenwoordig klein besigheidseienaars, swart besigheidseienaars spesifiek. En al wat ek eintlik wil vra is dat ons meer tyd gegee moet word om asseblief na hierdie wysigingswetsontwerp te kyk sodat ons ordentlike besluite kan neem, want op die oomblik skep hierdie wetsontwerp nie ruimte vir klein besigheidseienaars wat swart is om regtig deel te vorm van hierdie spasie en veral as ons kyk na die tipe geld wat betrokke is. So dis al wat ons vra, ons vra net vir meer tyd om te kyk na hierdie wysigingswet.
Good day, colleagues, committee, community members. My name is Siabulela Liwani from place so-called Middle Boss here at the back. I'm also a leader here. First of all, I want to indicate that we support the bill 100%. There is no different obligation from myself not to support the bill. And I understand very well the issue of Saldanha. We spent our own time before when there was the issue of the project so-called Saldanha Steel. There were a lot of complaints like today where people were busy opposed Saldanha Steel. And we went to Parliament to demand that project. You cannot believe the same people who opposed the project was the same people who rejected us in that particular project, pretending as if they are concerned about the fishes and everything. But later when the project was there, it was them who were at the forefront of the project. Make sure we are no longer benefit from the project. So this thing, it became a norm. People pretending as if they are concerned about something, but you understand very well they are not speaking that. Some of them claim that they are representing the black business and so forth, but even if you can ask them, who's those businesses you're talking about? Do you know those particular people who are struggling in those particular businesses, in those areas? They don't know nothing. But using this platform today as if, no, we are concerned about that and that and that. We know those kind of tricks. My message to you guys, please speed up the process, guys. Speed up the process, guys. We were busy discussing the issue of Section 25, and people come up later with their stories and everything. We know very well that people have got the resources. People, they will never get any chance, even in December, to get any joy. Print out t-shirts and everything to oppose this thing. And those people who gave those people resources, they pretending if that even themselves, they are representing those particular people that they are using today. We know very well the people who are much concerned about this bill is those beneficiaries who were wrongly benefited in this country before. And now today, they are concerned now who's going to benefit. Because it seems that they are not there. So trying now to say, no, is that and that, using our own people. Guys, we are looking the jobs, we are looking everything. This process must be speeded up by Parliament. Please, guys, we are not playing. We need this thing. Thank you.
Goedendag mense, my naam is Siabulela Liwazi. Ek is ook 'n leier van die omgewing. Ek wil net noem dat ek ten volle hierdie wetsontwerp ondersteun. Ek verstaan die probleme van die mense van Saldanha, maar toe daar van tevore met projekte probleme was, wie was dit wat parlement toe gegaan het? Dit was ons. Ons het parlement toe gegaan om te gaan veg vir die projekte om hier te wees. Maar dieselfde mense wat in die verlede gekla het oor hoe die vis geaffekteer gaan word en hoe dit elke probleem gaan veroorsaak in hulle lewe, is dieselfde mense wat toe die projek gekom het, voordeel begin trek het uit die ding het en nou ons probeer uit die projek uitkry. So ek wil vra, hierdie mense wat so sukkel met vis en sukkel om te eet, ken julle hierdie mense? Waar is hulle? Ek wil daai mense vra, ken julle daai mense wat so sukkel? Ek wil versoek vir julle van die paneel om hierdie proses te bespoedig. Maak dit gouer beskikbaar. Ons sien dat hier mense is wat hemde vervaardig, om mense op te sweep om te betoog en om te kla, maar hulle gebruik eintlik net daai mense om hulle eie metodes te probeer bemagtig. So al wat ek vir julle wil sê is, maak hierdie proses vinniger. Doen dit so gou as wat julle kan.
Mandibulele qala ku-chairperson nekomiti yakhe. Elami igama ndinguManqobandile Madlebe. Ndiyi-community leader apha eMiddelburg.
I'd like to begin by thanking the chairperson. My name is Manqobandile Madlebe, and I am a community leader.
Chairperson, masibe clear. Thina kule community yase Saldanha in large siyayisupporta lo mcimbi wegas. Futhi asigungqe asijiki.
Chair, let us be very clear. We, the members of the community of Saldanha Bay, fully support this bill.
Yes, so sithi ihashi indeed maliphale ngokuba nonke amaxesha aqhatshwe yinja.
We say, pass this bill quickly because time is tight.
Into ezakwenzeka xa abantu bekwazi uzingisa okanye bekwazi ukucinga, lo mcimbi umzekelo apha sine Petrol SA, sino energy uSunrise apha kufitshane nathi, abadale amathuba amaninzi ngokwezengqesho kunye nezebhizinesi. So asikwazi ke ngoku abo ba against lo mcimbi werhasi sisithi thina mawuze eluntwini ukuze abantu bethu baphuhle bakwazi uzenzela izinto zabo. Futhi kamnandi idepartment ithetha clear into ba abantu bayakwazi into ba bazi-aplayele babe neelayisensi zabo.
If people can think for themselves, then they will realize that there have been other companies here before, like Petrol SA, who created jobs and people benefited. So we don't quite know who it is that is opposing the coming of these companies here.
So as understand ke na basuka ngapha eNtshona Koloni bazo oppose izinto zalapha sisekapa. Awukwazi into ba ingxaki zase Eastern Cape uzawusifanisa neengxaki zalapha. Hlala neengxaki zakho eEastern Cape sawudibana nazo emigidini. Thina ingxaki zethu apha siluluntu sifuna unqubela phambili. Aba ba print t-shirt singabazi wasuke ngapha eEastern Cape azosixakekisa apha. Sithi chairperson suba hoya thina sifuna lo mcimbi uqhubeke kubheke phambili enkosi.
I don't understand how it is that people come from the Eastern Cape and they come and make comments on our issues here in the Western Cape. Let them deal with their Eastern Cape issues in the Eastern Cape and let us deal with our issues here. I don't know who it is that printed t-shirts so that people can come here and make comments on our issues. We know what we want, and we want jobs so that development can continue. Thank you.
Goeiedag almal. Ek is Margarita Petru. Goeiedag almal. Ek is Margarita Petru van die Kogelkwaadryp hier in Saldanha Bay. Ek is ook 'n gemeenskapsleier. Werk meestal met health and welfare care. Ek maak beswaar teen die wetsontwerp. Want dit blyk daar is alleen mag en sê-reg met die toekenning van lisensies vir gronde sowel as die gasaanleg. Alleenreg en sê-reg moet geskraap word. Alles word net geïmplementeer en ons as gemeenskap moet alles maar net gelate aanvaar. Wat die lisensietoekenning betref vir die gas, maak ek ook beswaar daarteen, want dit het 'n ekologiese impak in die gemeenskap. Eerstens, die seelewe word gesteer. Tweedens, die pelagiese fabrieke tot by Houtbaai gaan tot stilstand kom. Spesies gaan verdwyn en ons gemeenskappe gaan daaronder ly, terwyl die gemeenskap vanuit die see lewe. Vissersekonomie word doodgemaak om nuwe verwikkelinge op die been te bring. Ons regte word afgevat soos byvoorbeeld die gronde, sowel as die inkomste van die see. Ons aan die Weskus, dit blyk asof ons 'n koningslewe lewe. Maar ons lewe almal vanuit die see. Want ons suffer for beauty. So don't take everything away from us, please. Thank you.
My name is Margrieta Petru, and I deal a lot with health and welfare. And I would like to just point out that we are vehemently against this bill. It seems like there are licenses being issued left, right, and center, and things are being implemented, and we as the community, the people on the floor, we just have to accept this because there's no other choice. And all of these licenses that are being issued has a significant ecological impact. Firstly, it disrupts the ocean life. Secondly, there are species that are disappearing. And this is a significant problem for us as community because we live, we survive from what the ocean brings and from these species. Fisheries and small-scale fishers, our income, our livelihood is being killed by this. Our rights are being stripped. We have no more rights to our land, to our sea, to our income from the sea. When people look at us, they think here at the West Coast, we live the life of kings. But that's not true. We seem to be suffering for beauty. Because yes, it's pretty, it's beautiful, but we don't have access to that. We can't use that. And this is what I implore you. Please do not take these things away from us.
Thank you very much. Good people, you know there's something that I always say, it's nice to go to a place where you don't know those people.
Mense, dit is vir my goed om te weet dat ek kom
My
na 'n plek
problem
toe.
is that myself, I'm told I'm only left with 3 minutes.
Are you okay if I summarize what you say then at the
No,
end?
continue. I'm just saying I will try. Anyone who did not get the answer, it's because the time. And that is why I was trying to say from the onset, when you speak, think for the one who's behind you. Now, when a person speaks and say, I represent all these people and they all clap hands, you may think that exactly they are satisfied with his representation or her representation of 20 minutes. Yes, you can Tolika.
Alright, ek is jammer om te sê dat ons het nie noodwendige antwoorde nie. Daar is net eenvoudig nie genoeg tyd daarvoor nie. En dit is hoekom ek aan die begin gevra het, asseblief respekteer die tyd. Want daar is sommige sprekers wat dink hulle kom vorentoe want hulle verteenwoordig 5 of 6 of 7 mense en dit gee vir hulle toestemming om vir 5 of 7 mense se beurte te praat. En dis nie heeltemal waar nie.
Let me honor my initial statement. I will not respond on the questions relating to the amendments to the bill because as a committee we have not deliberated. We are still going around hearing the views of the people.
Soos wat ek aan die begin gesê het, ek kan nie vir julle antwoorde op julle vrae gee nie, want as komitee het ons nog nie ons vergadering gehad nie. Ons is nog net besig om opinies en menings in te samel.
So we can't have our minds made up when we have not discussed. You discuss first, you make up your mind. For now, we are listening, and then we will discuss and make up our minds. Nothing has been finalized by this committee. I said it from the onset.
Ek het van die begin af gesê, ons het nog nie ons samesprekings gehad nie, ons het nog nie saamgestem oor iets nie, en daarom is dit hoekom ons nog net ons menings insamel. Dit is wat ons tans doen.
If I was another person, I would say, we apologize for coming here. We thought this is one of the places to prioritize when there is an act of this nature. Now I hear other people say, you just came here just to tick boxes. We thought this is one. In fact, when one member in the committee suggested places to go and mentioned Saldanha, Graafrenet, Mossel Bay, Witbank, in all these provinces, it's simple because we knew the impact of a nature of a bill or amendment or a bill will have in this area. It's not only the coastal. In the inland, Mpumalanga, Gauteng, and all these areas are highly affected by issues that relate to gas. And that is the only thing that made us to then say, go to Saldanha and hear from people in Saldanha, what do they say? If I did not take this thing serious, I would say we apologize for choosing Saldanha, because in Saldanha they don't believe that we are genuine.
As ek iemand anders was, het ek gesê, ek is jammer dat ek hier toe gekom het, maar dis nie die geval nie. Wat mense nie besef nie is, ons het hierdie plekke spesifiek gekies. Daar was 'n voorstel, dat kom Saldanha toe, kom Graafrenet toe, gaan Witbank toe, want dit is waar mense geraak word deur hierdie. En dis nie net langs die kus nie, dis ook binnelands. Mpumalanga, Gauteng, daai plekke het nodig om ons besoek te hê, sodat ons daai mense spesifiek kan vra wat hulle opinies is oor hierdie wetsontwerp.
Again, I didn't want to bore you with many of the things. When the bill came, the first thing we did was to open up for public hearings, for written submissions. They closed in September, end of September. Having done so, because Parliament or the National Assembly was in session, you can't, because when we leave as a committee, it means 11 people are leaving the National Assembly. There will be 11 people absent in the National Assembly, and members of Parliament will be accused that they don't take their parliamentary work serious. So we had to opt for weekends. All these provinces we count except the coastal provinces. All of them, Mpumalanga, Gauteng, KZN, by the way, KZN, those provinces, we were doing them on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, because Parliament is in session.
Ons is hierso van die nasionale vergadering, en wanneer ons hierso is, wees bewus daarvan dat daar 11 lede van die nasionale vergadering wat nie daar is nie. En dit is hoekom ons juis naweke gekies het, want as ons weg is van die nasionale vergadering en hulle kan nie hulle werk doen nie, gaan mense sê dat hulle nie hulle werk ernstig opneem nie. So dit is hoekom ons juis op naweke by plekke soos KZN, Mpumalanga en Gauteng opgedaag het.
Now we are different, the reason we are different, the minister can wake up and come here. We can't as a committee of Parliament. We have to apply to the House chairperson that we have to go for public hearings in this day, in this place. We can be approved, it can be declined. The House chairperson, in consultation with other chief whips of other parties, it will then be approved. It's not, that's why I was explaining, the minister is different from us. He can wake up, or she can wake up, take the delegation, whoever he wants from the department. We don't own anything.
Dis belangrik om te weet dat daar so 'n verskil tussen ons en die minister is. Die minister kan opstaan eendag en sê, "Haai, ek wil hiernatoe kom en ek kan dit doen." Ons kan nie. Ons moet aansoek doen en dit kan aanvaar of verwerp word. Die minister kan hiernatoe kom en sê, "Ek gaan hierdie klomp mense saamvat," en dan kom hy. Ons kan nie, en dit is wat ons taak heeltemal anders maak.
Now, on this thing that we came here on Sunday, good people, Parliament now is in recess, the National Assembly. We had to make an application to use the time which is called constituency period. I said we started to leave on Sunday, and we are here because it's another Sunday. We will finish on Saturday when we finish in the Free State. Now, the difficulty with a committee of Parliament is to change policies of Parliament. I'm a Christian, by the way. There are Christians who go to church on Saturday, the Sabbath. Now, the fact that I'm a Christian and go to church on Sunday doesn't mean an Islamic person or a person who's Hindu or any of the other religions of faith must feel that theirs is being undermined at the expense of prioritizing one religion or faith. Now, I wanted to share with you, to be free. This is a bishop from the 12th Apostolic Church. He knew. I said, I am a member of the Presbyterian Church of Africa. I'm a member. But those, to show that at times we must also study. There's a dispute how we interpret in our own religion. Luke 14, verse 5. Jesus Christ says to his disciples, who on a day of Sabbath would not take an initiative to rescue his ox or any of his belongings. Asambe simfunda ke ngithi mina uLuka verse 14 lisho ke lasekhaya iBhayibheli. uLuka verse 14 uthi ngubani na ongeke alonyule iesile lakhe ngosuku leSabatha. So religion itself, it's not the walls. Religions, it is where you are, where you do your faith practice. God, wherever we go, we believe is with us. Even here, we believe God is here. So I don't want us now to sound, some people feel, oh, now Christians, they got a platform, they want to be dominant again. Wars that have been fought are on faith. One faith wants to be bigger than the other. So we had no intentions because Parliament took a conscious decision that it will respect all religions, but it will stick to what has been there. Now he's going to do the final. So we have got no intentions to hurt anyone, but we had to do our work. Lastly, please, I said this thing yesterday. I said, one pastor said, when this one was busy preaching, or bishop preaching, we lost his wife. All what is in mind beside Unkulunkulu, God, he knew, he was looking at them, that when they move from here, they will be going to their wives and their husbands. These members of Parliament left their homes on Sunday the 16th. They will be on their homes on Sunday the 30th. They've never had, most of them, they never had an opportunity to take their kids who were going to school for the first time. They never had an opportunity to look after their families. That can't be a luxury. That can't be a luxury. It's a sacrifice. Let's give credit where it is due. You can't take 2 weeks away from home simply because you want to go and tick boxes. It's a very expensive exercise of ticking a box. Thank you very much, people back here. We want to take the positive things that we receive. Your inputs were extremely excellent, but let's go back, learn only one thing, to be tolerant of an opposing view to what I have. Because anyone, make a presentation of your own and go back. Thank you very much. Everything is well appreciated. Thank you.
Ek weet daar is ook vrae oor hoekom is ons hier op 'n Sondag? Dit is 'n probleem. En die ding is net neem net in ag dat die mense wat hier voorsit, het hulle families verlaat vir meer as 2 weke om hier so te wees. Hulle het al Saterdag nog Sondag die 16de Januarie weggegaan van hulle families af en hulle gaan eers die 30ste terugkom. Nou daar's mense wat sê, maar ja, as ons op 'n Sondag te doen, dan kan die Christen in die kerk toe gaan nie. As ons op 'n Saterdag doen, kan daar so ander gelowe in die kerk toe gaan nie. As ons op 'n Vrydag te doen, is daar ander gelowe wat nie kan gaan nie. Ons probeer niemand seermaak nie, ons probeer geen geloof voortrek nie. Daar is al oorlog wat beklei is in die naam van geloof en ons wil dit juis vermy. Maar ek wil net vir julle noem, dat kyk na hierdie lede hiervoor. Dit is nie vir hulle 'n vakansie nie, dis nie 'n luksheid nie. Sommige van hierdie mense se kinders het vir die eerste dag skool toe gegaan op Maandag laasweek en hulle kon dit nie sien nie. Dis nie 'n luksheid nie. Dit is iets wat hulle moes afstaan en wat hulle nooit gaan terugkry nie. So ek vra asseblief, Wees respekvol en eerbiedig teenoor jou medemens. Baie dankie.